plug in, and then eventually that's going to propagate its way over to YouTube. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is quit Fusion. I've left myself notes. We need to flip these two, and we need to change it to good capacitors. Aside from that, everything else in the circuit is good, so I'm ready for version 2, the final version. I'm gonna edit this offline, maybe, unless we do an hashtag AutoCAD ad, we might. But otherwise, it's not that big of an edit, and then all I'll do is export the stuff using the cam profile that I did before, and send it again to this, I guess, Seed Studio. It seems like a lot of these places all kind of pan out to be sort of the same price, even with tariffs involved. I don't know. Maybe I need to look into JLC or one of the domestic ones that'll not get me on a tariff. But was talking to someone in Discord, one of the regulars in Discord, and apparently their orders, like they did, I think JLC, no, they did a PCBWay, and that came out to be about the same cost. So I don't know. I guess they're all trying as hard as they can to be the most economical one, and it just sucks that it went from like $50 to 70. It's a chef's hat. That is a chef's hat. I don't know what you guys think you're seeing, but that is a chef's hat that I drew. I drew that right there. Why is this not closing? I've clicked the Xbox. What is going on here? Why is this being... Okay, there we go. It's languishing. And there's YouTube chat. So now we have YouTube chat up. Oh, everything's loading. Okay. Minecraft, Borb. Are there birds in Minecraft? Chicken. Jockey. All right, let's see. We can, 570 Galore PDF is there. Leave that open. What is going on? Yeah, we're gonna build a couple filter modules. We're in the thick of it right now. I've got my module, testing module, somewhat working. Not really, but it's enough that we can throw stuff on the oscilloscope. So whatever we're close to finishing, we should finish. Yes, sir, yes, sir. Get all my module wires. Let's see if we can make a hole, make a clean area on this desk. I fear that my clouds filter module, the really nice mutable instruments one that we spent so much time building and programming and all that, and then we weren't able to load up new code into it. I have a feeling that the data acquisition chip, the DAC or digital to analog, in this is the same issue that I had with Crimes and Ornamentation, where I put in a DAC and it was a similar, cheaper part number, but it wasn't the right DAC, and so the pinout made it so that it just deactivated the chip. I think that's what's going on with Clouds. I think Clouds has like a nice DAC on it. It's on the other side of the board, and I think maybe we need to pull this apart and just investigate that at some point. That's why it's over in the sort of the derelict module area. What for being repaired eventually. I think maybe I'm just gonna like start. I think maybe we just start just right away, just because I have so much work to do. We got a lot of stuff to solder in. It's a lot of like front panel stuff. So let's get start soon out of here. And we're picking up where we left off. Bonk. I'm just gonna mute it. We're picking up where we left off. I've got a lot of stuff to build. I got a lot of parts in the mail. I paid out the wazoo in tariffs. I'm actually quite livid about all the tariffs. Hope you're having a nice day. That's yet to be determined, because we have a lot of work that we need to get done here. I need to move my fan because I'm sweating. I think we have the AC off today because it's actually breathable outside, which is always nice. But yeah, so we've got I've got 5 filter modules that I need to finish building. I kind of ran into a problem where these module makers, when they design a module, sometimes, many times, they will use parts that they have, or a lot of the time it's parts that they are required to use. But without doing circuit analysis, I can't tell if putting a 100 kilo ohm potentiometer is different from putting a 50 kilo ohm potentiometer in. If I did the circuit analysis, I could figure out what the different resistors would be and how to make that work in the circuit. But instead for these, I've decided not to do all that work. I had to order a bunch of specialized parts. And then, you know, like a 50 kilo ohm pot, I have not seen many of those. Apparently those are a thing. I just ordered 100 thonk connectors. Where did the one go that was right here? These little guys, these little through hole headphone connectors. I just ordered 100 of them. And it was $40, but apparently Thonk is doing some kind of shipping, like Royal Post shipping, where they pay the tariff because they're probably going to get refunded when the tariff is deemed to be illegal. What's up, Ghost Slab? How are you? So the Thonk, 100 Thonk connectors, no tariffs, it's still $40. It's a lot of headphones. When you take a look at some of these modules, you'll realize why I bought so many. You churn through these when you're building synthesizer stuff. Where's that one? Yeah, here, the 570 Galore. I mean, like, you know, I won't even break a sweat by the time I start dwindling that supply. I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. I got decent sleep. I haven't taken Willow for a walk today, which is really weird. But people have been like in and out. It's like a Saturday, so people are all over the place, and she's in the midst of it all. So my dog is good. I'm good. We have locked the door. I am stuck down here, finishing modules, soldering components down. This one's going to be a challenge because there's plastic right next to the IC. Buy what you want. It's your project. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's annoying to have to do that. Did you do the CAD design? I thought about doing it yesterday. I think I'm going to do it off air. I should do it as like a hashtag AutoCAD ad so that I can show you guys the process of editing a circuit board that has mistakes on it. I think I just convinced myself that I should do that as a stream because then it gets me credit for my free AutoCAD. Did AutoCAD. They do. What they do is their social media manager contacted me privately right when my educational copy was expiring, and I thought about talking to the neighbor to get a university letterhead to say that I'm enrolled in a CAD program, but I started to like pull all my files off, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to go to the free version. And then they contacted me and said, hey, we got this like creators program that's kind of new, and we noticed that you were kind of like the only person that's been using Fusion Eagle to make circuit boards. And I'm like, that's what I do. That's, you know, that's the CAD program that I know how to use. And they were like, if you do 2 hashtag AutoCAD ads every 3 months, we'll give you a free copy of the CAD software. And so I'm like, that is a sweetheart deal that if I've ever heard one, because the software is expensive. The features that I can enable are expensive. They want you to pay for the cloud storage that I don't even want to think about how much storage space I'm utilizing with all of my 3D parts and stuff. 3D parts, apparently you can now put them in a special place and it doesn't use up your cloud storage, but I've not had to think about any of that because now I do my goodly little hashtag AutoCAD ad. Oh, this software is so good. It's so good. They said, like, criticize anything you want, like do whatever you want, just as long as you use the software and put the hashtag on it. Yeah, that's that. So they sponsor my copy of Fusion 360 that has Fusion Eagle, and I forget what the branding is. I need to look at their branding portal again, but I think they're just calling it Fusion Eagle or something. But it does all of the circuit board work that I like to do, and it looks nice on the cameras. So yeah, but that again, I was not paid to say what I just said. This is not a sponsored stream today because we're just building modules. We're not using the CAD software. So at some point we'll pick back up the powered mult and I can finally actually put that one to bed because it is so brutally simple, this circuit. And from what we've seen, it works really well. So something just happened. Boom, leg shot. Just subscribed for 14 months. Boom, leg shot. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the 14 months. You inspired Andro to use CAD programs last year and he's built some sit. Who? That's awesome. I mean, that's really cool. Yeah. I've loved the pipeline from I mean, specifically for me, it's AutoCAD. There are other softwares that are free and open source and work just really well for what I'm talking about. But for me, the way AutoCAD does stuff with a sketch, and then you extrude from the sketch, and then you chamfer everything so it looks nice, that pathway leads really well to 3D printing, because you start with a sketch that you can infer to be your print bed, and then you extrude up from there, much in the same way additive manufacturing, aka the 3D printer, will print it. And so having my printer with all of its settings locked in and having Fusion means that, oh, I need a bracket here. All right, this is triangle, push that in there. What's the size of the bolt? Boom, done, print. 2 hours later, I have a bracket made out of pretty strong plastic. That's been really amazing. And then for the modular synthesizers, it's like 1, 2, 3, put everything together. Here's the standard size. Here's where all the chips go. Put the traces down. Here's where all the screws are. Pull that file into another design, make holes where all the things are, hit print. I've got a front panel, right? Like, it's been pretty amazing. I tried to introduce you, but you yelled at us for talking during your stream. We felt so bad. He was inspired by what you were showing, how it worked. Oh, okay. I didn't yell at anybody. Was that yesterday? Yesterday I was prickly because nothing worked. I hate it when nothing works. Well, I'm happy to be an inspiration to somebody. That's really nice. And I apologize for making anybody feel unwelcome, because absolutely people are welcome in this stream. It's just when I have to read all of the side conversations, it gets very distracting. Things are supposed to work. Haha. Do I have news for you? Yeah, so I've been trying to build a bunch of these filter modules. This one came with its own front panel, this 570 Galore, and it's supposed to do compression, so I don't really know what that means, but it should be fun. And then what I decided to do was, instead of having a bunch of big potentiometers, the big 25 turn adjustable potentiometers, like sticking out of the back and getting brushed up against stuff, because apparently, I mean, it even drove Emily Gillette to put everything on the other side of the board, which is really annoying to do. It's really annoying for me too, because when I'm troubleshooting, I can't get to anything. But putting all the components on the other side of the board apparently saved it from getting damaged. I don't know what people are doing with their modular synthesizer things. It seems like everybody takes it to like a rodeo or something. I don't know why. I see all kinds of damage from my friends coming in. My friends coming in. Yeah, it's like, me getting prickly about people having side conversations, but yet I have a machine that farts at me in order to remain distracting during streams. Like, there's a schism there. What do you mean again? I thought they just worked. If anybody ever had trouble with a fart noise, you guys got to tell me about this stuff, because the modus operandi for that thing is being quiet. It outbursts. So anyway, I've taken a bunch of these designs to sort of fruition. I tried even to make clearances for the little adjusting parts of the pots, and so I tried to hand drill it. And you guys may not know this, but every time I try to hand drill something, it doesn't do it. It doesn't work. I can never get it right. I'm just cursed. I think I have a curse. I think there's a curse on me. I think like a witch actually casts some kind of a spell so that I would never, ever, ever be able to drill holes in the right locations. So I totally ruined this front panel that was like really nice. You turned it off for like 2 years. No, I did not. I've had it working. So I'm gonna have to figure out where on, this is the 570 Galore? No, this is a different panel. That's a different one entirely. Yeah, we're gonna have to make at some point we'll do CAD and we'll make a 570 Galore front panel. But for now, I mean, I can build this thing and we can kind of like look at it and tune it and stuff. But anyway, let's get to building some of these. Like, which ones of these are close? Our powered mult, I deem a success. I'm gonna have to order more circuit boards. I don't know what to do with 10 old circuit boards like this. This is like a lot. The ordering 10 sucks. I really liked the 5s, because having 4 other broken ones is not that much of a burden of responsibility. It's just when I have 10 that have some, you know, a fundamental design flaw, which Flatulent Gonad was trying to convince me that plugging into this one here and having it go to these 3 and plugging into this one here and having it go to these 3 was actually a feature, which you know what? Honestly, I don't mind if it's mad. If it's absolutely mad. But if I hand these to my friends, they will not know how to use them and they'll get frustrated with it, even if it's the best powered malt that I've ever made, which it is because it's the only one that I've ever made. But yeah, I just can't. I have to fix that thing. If there was an easier way, maybe if I got a little bit more clever, because we have the banks flipped. I don't know if there's like, if I could cut 2 traces and completely redo that system. I don't know where those 2, we'll have to investigate that at some point before I go and order more boards. If there's an area where I can make a couple cuts and just do the TXRX crosswire, maybe I should just do that to all of them and leave the error in. I don't know. Anyway, that's the powered malt. That's where we are with this one. I'm going to put that behind the keyboard on the back burner. And then we'll revisit that. Try to get clever. Happy weekend. No bother in chat. How's it going, Mahal? Why face no work? I feel like I inhaled the pillow last night. I'm quite tired. I had a dream about eating a marshmallow, and when I woke up, my pillow was gone. Anyway. Filter modules. The one that I'm most interested in completing, maybe the one that I want to do, and I might just do what I want always. I just do whatever I want and build this nonlinear circuits digifilter simulator. So what this does is it uses flip-flops in order to simulate a digital filter. So I think, and I don't really know this, I just kind of bought the circuit boards and rolled with it. I think this is a way to get sort of bit crush sounds from your synthesizer. So you'd take your voltage controlled oscillator, you would put it into some kind of like not attenuator, like an envelope of some type. And Julian was saying I need to build a different envelope, not an ADSR. ADSR is more if you're trying to simulate like a guitar or a piano. And we're not. So, I mean, maybe I am. Maybe I do want to simulate a piano. What does he know? But I trust him to have my best interests in mind. So, I need to get something that's a little bit more simplistic. And I think a filter like that is probably best if left to my own DIY circuits. So maybe we'll do a perforated prototyping envelope at some point. But in the meantime, what I've done in response to Julian saying that he hates me and I smell, I bought 4 filters and I started building them. And then I realized that filters are specialized and unique. And when you're dealing with specialized and unique in electronics, that means specialized and unique components. So I had to do a bunch of parts ordering. I got everything that I could have done. And then I ordered a bunch of parts and they came in the mail. So let's get to building. And then we can put some of these filters to the test. The MS-22, they've got these super special potentiometers that they use to tune the thing with. Why do they do that? They have an update to this board that uses just the generic 25 turns. In my opinion, every single thing that's adjustable should be done with the blue squares, the blue square potentiometer. These are ubiquitous. They are very sensitive. They do not adjust themselves at all. And they're nicely like isolated and guarded and mounted pretty sternly to the board. They might be big, but everybody has them. Everybody and their dog has them. You can order them by the bushel. These guys built their whole MS-22 filter, which supposedly is pretty awesome. Julian even was like, can you build me one? And I'm like, fuck you. Like, no, there's so many parts. This is such a big build. I've spent days down here soldering all the components on. And then I had to order like $100 in parts just to get some of the weird stuff. Anyway, the update to this uses the big ones. This one does not. I'm at Modular Addict's mercy when I order these things. So then there is which one was this? This is the NLC LPG, the low pass gain filter version 5, I suppose. We need to build a dual Vactrol for this. Vactrol is just a photoresistor. This is like Little Timmy's Circuit 101. This is the sensor with a little squiggly line on it. It's just one of these little guys. You find these in your like outdoor lights, right? This is just a photoresistor. When light hits it, I think it resists less. And so if you put that in your circuit, it can work as like a cutoff filter. In this case, the low pass gate, I suppose. And you have 2 of these with an LED shining on them. And so you have this whole circuit where you use a control voltage or a knob to shine the LED brighter. So your audio goes through these photoresistors, rather, not diodes. Photodiodes are if photons hit it, it'll let current through. This is change in resistance depending on how much light there is. So that's just a very simple cutoff filter that uses light. Still got to build this. This required me to buy new switches, and it requires me to build a Vactrol. You can buy Vactrols. You can buy them. People have set them up so that they're, they've got properties that But what's the good of that? That's stupid. We can just build one, and it'll be weird, and it'll be ours. And all of the stuff that sucks about it will be our fault. So we still need to work on that. We did build a Vactrol for my delay, so that we can get a little echoey delay in there. We built this epoxy Vactrol that uses a surface mount orange LED. So that's this like nub here. It didn't need to be this big. We probably could have done a much better job of it. I could have just soldered through hole devices in there, but with this removable, it means that I could build alternatives and test them out and see what they do. That could be fun. Fun. You guys remember fun? I don't. All right, so anyway, we're looking at the nonlinear circuits digital filter simulator. This is one of the ones that I'm really excited about building. Oh, the other stuff that we need filter-wise is I've got a Sirius filter, and that needs to just a little bit of tweak and tune so that it responds to control voltages properly. I don't know if I can do that with this setup. I'm not sure. Might be able to. And then what else? I think that's all the filters that I have. I bought a bunch. I mean, this is like, yeah, we got the delay, we've got the compressor, we've got the digital filter simulator, we have the MS-22, which is a big boy, that's a big deal, and then we've got the Sirius filter. And I think with all those filters, we're gonna be able to make wobbling noises that'll sound a lot cooler. Like when I'm done with these modules, aka never, when I'm done with the modules that I'm building right now, I'm gonna rebuild the whole setup, and I would like to do 1 or 2 more of those streams where every time an ad break starts, I turn it off and I unplug everything and we start over. And hopefully I can do a slightly more informed version of that, because I don't know what I'm doing. And those out there that do know the music and the patching and what you're supposed to do may have a completely different idea of how to hook stuff up. That's kind of where I'm coming at from this. I'm not somebody who's been in the scene for a long time. I'm somebody who knows how to build the circuits, but I don't have much musical experience. So, let's get that out of there. Okay, so the only circuit component that is required on this that I didn't have is the CD4015 quad flip-flop that makes this whole circuit work. Only part I didn't have. So let me find it in the boxes that are sitting behind me. My big DigiKey order. Here, if I face, well, no, because my address is like sitting right on top of this thing, and I don't necessarily want you guys sending me stuff. Some of you do send me stuff, and I appreciate you very much. You've somehow conned me. You've conned me into sending you my information over Discord, but let it be known that I will just buy this stuff for myself instead of 571. That's for the Compendor. It's the Compandor. It's a Comparador and an Andor. I don't know what the other one is in there, but it sounds like Compandor. Let's see. This is about $10 in parts. Ridiculous. Oh no, 16 in parts. This is another like $30, $40 in parts, because these switches are weird and rare. Thank you. I love you, MS22. I love spending money on this thing. God, the shiny nostalgic. Well, the thing is, these are great bags. And actually, if you guys are planning, or for rather, when you guys steal a flock camera, have one of these bags ready. Because if you put the flock camera and its other equipment in one of these silver bags, it will not be able to get GPS coordinates. It will not be able to get Bluetooth, because these are conductive. These are conductive and so anti-static. You can also throw a cell phone in these and they can't communicate outwards. So when you steal the flock cameras, put them in something like this. These are easy to find. You can get big ones, like really big ones, and it'll shut all that stuff down. You don't need to get like a copper mesh or a brass mesh is also good, but you know, it's a little bit more specialized. TL074 CDT. Why do I have they send me the TL074s in like a bunch of different containers, huh? CD4015 BM. Okay, so that's the one that I'm looking for. That's a bunch of other knobs. What just happened? Okay, a box just fell on the floor, and at the same time somebody turned on a hose. So I hear clunk, 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 squeak, 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 and I'm like, what is squeaking? There's all kinds of stuff going on outside. The grass is being watered. All of our grass is completely gray. I know in England they have a hose stop order, but we don't have that here. So we're watering all of our plants right now after all of these crazy heat waves. Good to know, Ribbit. Wait, what's the Ribbit for? Is there some frog association with flock cameras? Yeah, so lots of static bags. I kind of churn through them here. I don't really save them very often. It's more fun to hack the camera's feed and only send hot tub streams. That's true. They are notoriously there's like, they don't lock them down, and they use a pretty common password. And if you look at, who's that guy? That guy's awesome. He's got a big modular synthesizer set up on his little like off the grid, semi off the grid house. Ben Jordan. I've been watching his videos lately. The guy's awesome. He's everything I've ever wanted to be, including thin. No, fit, I would say. But yeah, that he's everything that I've ever wanted to be, and I kind of hate him, but I also absolutely love the content, and you guys should check it out, because the videos on flock cameras are kind of incredible. He doesn't say what the password is. You scroll down to the comments, and there's a lot of people saying exactly what the password is. So I have the same sentiment with the guy. I know, seriously. Stop being so cool for just a second. Leave some cool electronics and security for the rest of us, man. No, please don't. Please continue to make the videos that you want to make, because they're great. I'm so glad that content exists. So, by the way, if you have a paste soldering iron, 1/4-inch fuse holders are perfect for holding on to all of your iron tips that you use. We just got a bunch of new tips, and I haven't really been able to use a lot of them. I got this wedge tip, and it's reluctantly, this is probably going to be one of my favorite tips to use for everything. The password is swordfish. No, it is not, but it is that stupid. I think it's the password. I think is like security or something like that. I like his sound videos. I need to check that out. I haven't done that. And a video about hearing aid scams. Yeah, we need more Ben Jordan in this world, and I'm glad we have that. Do I keep the unpowered malt? I think maybe I keep the unpowered malt. I think maybe I don't do anything with the unpowered malt. Maybe it'll become useful someday. I don't know. Maybe it goes here. We'll keep this together. And then the powered malt that I fixed. See, this is the debate, is if I take this, I mean, I could destroy this, right? But this is now was a fully functioning powered malt, but it also is a mistake. And I have 10 more of these boards. This is what I despise about the 10 board deal. You're awesome too. Stop that. Listen, I say this with tongue fully in cheek. I know I'm better than him. I'm not. The guy's awesome. He has a whole career of doing that kind of stuff. It's so cool. Clipped and sent. Actually, that would be I would be over the moon. Stuff like that's really funny to me. I don't know. I should have a fake rivalry with a creator sometime just to boost both of our numbers. Did you hear what they said about Oh Bother? Maybe I'll talk to Dave about doing that. Dave 5005, Dave Seuss. Dave's stream is awesome. Sometimes he just goes online and talks to everybody, and he hasn't partnered at all. Just doesn't feel like doing that, and that's pretty noble. It's kind of a weird thing, but and Dave has rated my channel, so Dave actually knows that I exist, which is shocking to me. It's shocking. All right, all of this stuff back here, I'm trying to like move the module tester away from the front because it's gonna get in the way of my microscope and moving this thing around on the microscope. So moving that away is necessary. Let's take some of this, and these I need to find a home for. I guess they go over here. Okay, there's a little bit more space. It still looks like a complete disaster, but I just spit out my orange juice. I wasn't even drinking orange juice. All right, so all this stuff, make some room. All right, here we go. Paste, as the Zoomers say. At least you're more humble. Wow, that's a weird looking bottom on that thing. Don't clip me. Don't clip that. Please don't. That can be taken so out of context. This is a weird package. This looks very... This is a weird package. Don't clip. Stop clipping. Very strange. I guess these are very old or manufactured very cheaply. Whoop. Sorry about the glitches. I kind of like the glitching, but I should probably try to control the glitching a little bit more. I need to get a new cable for this microscope, and then I need to just basically glue it in place or solder it or something so that it never disconnects. Because the microscope, when it goes off, I have to restart a whole bunch of applications. I call them applications because I'm a boomer. I have to restart apps in order to get all of my automated stuff working again. A house of cards. Every stream is a house of cards. That has been designed by your streamer, and if it breaks, they'll cry. You'll see grown adults crying if you mess with their stream setup. Because once you get that house of cards built, you leave it alone, and you just hit play on a bunch of stuff. Speaking of which, hey YouTube, how's it going? So yeah, we're gonna build up this digital filter simulator. It's a fascinating circuit as usual from nonlinear circuits. And maybe, just maybe, it'll allow me to make chiptune-y sounding stuff. I don't know. Or it'll just sound weird and cool. That's how most of these things go anyway. I like it. 00100100. Why are we putting binary numbers here? That's 4. Pin 1? Pin 2. That's not pin 4. Come on. Where's my heat? Oh, it's getting warm down here. We turned off the AC in preparation for heat wave number 65. I don't know which one we're on. Just keep getting heat waves. Yeah, this is nonlinear circuits actually doing surface mount. They still haven't kicked the urge to put actual component values down. They really should stop doing that. I can't fault them fully, but you know, you open up old radios and stuff and you see all these component values in there, but really it is so much more self-serving in the amount of work you need to do to correct things to not put down direct component values so that you don't have to say, hey, this 390 kilo ohm resistor that's in this part of the board, that one's actually going to be 420K. Haha, sorry. In your documentation. Instead, you just change the value of U5 and you make a note that you've edited it, and that's it. So it's so much easier to not have designators instead of values. Okay, I'm not lucking out on that. My wrists are in a weird position to do this. I'm still getting used to these these board holders, these duckbill board holders as I call them. They're just magnetic circuit board holders, but they're mostly metal, except for the silicon rubber tip that I've replaced. It doesn't come with silicon rubber. It comes with just like a cheap plasticized rubber that's not great under heat. So I've replaced that, and they seem to be really, really good holding devices. I like them a lot, except they're high up in the air. Damn it. They're high up in the air, and that means that I need stuff to perch my hands on while I'm positioning and soldering components. But I endorse them. I think they're a good buy. There, I'm willing to accept that. Wait till you see my circuit board holder. What are you borbing up with? What's up, Caterpiggy? Yeah, so nonlinear circuits, amazing. You know, for all the criticism, I only criticize things I love, right? Except the U.S. government. But like, I love nonlinear circuits. I love the whole shtick behind it. Basically making these 1 a month modules and just flying by the seat of your pants and getting it, you know, making sloppy stuff and making it work for you. It's really cool. When it comes to me having to work on the nonlinear circuits things, I complain, but I absolutely love that these exist. And there's some really creative stuff that, I forget what the fella's name is, but that they've created. There's some really unique and very interesting modular synth things. So yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to gush too much about it. I already did. Ah! We've got an ad break going. Luckily, I'm doing the boring for this ad break. I'm really excited to see what this circuit does to the audio. Should probably have hooked up a microphone. I don't have like a modular microphone. That would be an interesting module to have. Oh wait, I've got more to do on that side. This one. I'm actually surprised I could not find a CD4015 in SOIC. I don't have much that I think would use something like that, but it is a fairly common part. It's something that I think I probably could find through-hole in some old electronics. Actually, I think that big ancient ISA card, the old computery thing that I have that was sent here by a fellow who worked for IBM, that might have that chip, but it's going to be through-hole because all the chips on it are through-hole. You have no power over me, ads. Yeah, I would suggest if you are seeing an ad, well, they can't hear me. If you're watching this VOD and in order to avoid ads, you should look up a GitHub script that can get rid of advertisements on Twitch. Although for some reason it was messing up on Sput's stream for me. I don't know why. It was doing a weird thing where it was playing the old audio. Like audio that, like little clippets of the older audio as they were playing Approximately Up, which is a game that I find really fascinating. And I almost want to buy Approximately Up just so that I can explore control systems. My major in college, I did motors and control systems. It was an electrical engineering discipline that deals with basically the technology that got us to the moon. Fly me to the moon and back, which was invented somewhere around the 60s, 50s and 60s. They developed these things, and it's like matrix algebra, where you plug in a couple little things and you can lower your moon lander down to the surface really efficiently without blowing yourself up. Cool stuff. The math in it is really fascinating because it makes physics trivially easy. If you're solving a multivariable physics problem, you can like put it into matrix algebra, and then you can swish around all of your components of the math problem until they work for you. It's absolutely crazy. All of the stuff that we did in physics with multiple variables can just be boiled into control systems and solved in your head, practically. Okay, there's the click. Now what should happen is the raid light should go off. Ah, there it is. We're back from the commercial break. Wee-oo, wee-oo. All of the commercial watchers have returned, having made me tons of money. I saw the Twitch payout. I need to look at a breakdown of it and see if I made anything over $4 in ad revenue. I probably haven't. I'm sure Twitch proper makes way more money off of you guys watching those ads than I do. It is not worth it. The only reason that I've activated mid-roll ads is for discoverability. So people clicking around on Twitch can click around and find me. Hashtag dying channel. Is that everybody's in? Everybody's in? I think everybody's in. This circuit has single-handedly robbed me of most of my 100 kilo ohm resistors. Sorry, the hiccuping and the like tight stomach stuff is because I had leftover shrimp scampi before streaming, and any food before streaming is like a bad idea. So, do you like this kit? This one's really good. I actually really like this. This is not a kit, by the way. These are not kits specifically. These are just circuit boards that I'm populating. The one thing about NLC is that he has a particular type of potentiometer that he really likes, and I'm sure there's a cheaper one. I should have gone through Thonk and ordered all the potentiometers. Instead, I did a combination of DigiKey and Mauser, and so I might have a bit of a smorgasbord of potentiometers on these. One thing that really annoys me is these giant, not for these, the giant open things. These are for like the wrong kind of Thonk connector, and the right kind of Thonk connector, it gets a little bit difficult to float solder in these in order to solder, and we're gonna work on that right now. So, let's see. But these are good builds. Like, these have been really fun. This one I happen to have all the right stuff for. I bought this kit of through-hole audio-related ICs, and I never thought I'd use all of them, and it turns out this one uses a very common delay chip, and I happen to have one. It was like one of the few wins of my stocking up of all this stuff. So these two boards need to go together, and then I need to put the big stuff onto this board. So I think, well, I need to look up what goes which way. I think this is all the components, like all the stuff, and then this stuff, marathon. I don't know if we'll call it a marathon or not. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Hold on. So I need a bunch of headers, and in my case, I don't really have square female headers. All I have is the soldering aid female header. I need to like go out and buy female headers. This is the kind that I just use for soldering aid. But instead of square headers, I'm going to use the German round pin machined headers. They're a little bit more expensive, but they're really good and they hold on really nicely. These I use for prototyping because I can actually reach the pin connection on this layer. So I'm just happy to be here. Oh, I'm happy to have you here, honestly. All right, so we're going to use these, so I just need to size up a couple headers. When you're cutting headers, by the way, one of the best tools to use is the wire stripper. This weirdo Italian wire stripper that I have. The reason behind that is because if you look at the cutter, it is a wedge on both sides. And so the wedges come together on both sides and they'll split your headers evenly. If you use flush cutters, because I know the temptation is there, to cut your headers, what happens is the wedge will drive the header, where is it? That way, and you'll end up cutting off center. So that's just a little word on that. I end up, cutting off center, and then it looks weird, and yeah. Tadya has a good selection of mechanical parts for NLC modules, but comes up from Thailand, so I'm not sure. Yeah, Tadya is what was called out in the bill of materials for nonlinear circuits, and the tariffs are very annoying. Thonk apparently has some kind of Royal Mail shipping that applies the tariff for you, and so whenever they're deemed to be, politically the dumbest thing that I've ever heard of in my entire life and illegal, then when they get refunded, it means we don't get screwed over, which is, that's kind of nice to have government that doesn't just actively screw you over at all times. So I should have ordered all of these parts from Thonk. Actually ordering them from England would have been a good idea. Stupid. Yeah. It's some of the dumbest stuff that I've ever heard of in my entire life. It's so frustrating to do this kind of stuff. And so I haven't like designed a circuit board in a while, whereas I should be prolific in designing circuit boards. We should be finding like academic papers about things to do with audio and making cool designs and like, you know, ordering those circuit boards from overseas. But nope, my hobby was crushed beneath the political weight of stupidity. How's it going, Lawn Dog? How you been? There's like a list of what's terrible, isn't there? I don't know, actually. I don't know. Okay, nice even cut. And then we have our two sides of this. I'll just plug together, and that'll be one of these headers. I don't know what order I'm supposed to be doing this stuff in, but we need 3 of these to get all the signals down from this board. Maybe we'll just park that like that. There we go. It's there. Uh-oh, I lost my place. Lost it again. It's the one above where I'm pinching. This one. I probably did that wrong. My electronic education has been crushed due to the nonsense. Really? That sucks. I sincerely hope we can all get through this at some point. But yeah, I would really like to have been really hitting the ground running with the synthesizer stuff and making some things that are unique, and maybe even opening a store where I could sell some of these as kits. I think that would be really cool. Although maybe I'll go insane and quit like everybody else has. You know, this DIY synthesizer game is, there are characters. Everybody's a character in this, and they have stories. I ordered a power supply distribution circuit board to go into the modular synthesizer case that Julian gave me, and Julian just completely shuts down, and he goes, "Don't buy from that guy." I'm like, "What?" Well, I bought it like a year ago. It's too late to like send it back. What's wrong? It's like, just don't buy from him. Apparently, during COVID, the person who sells these things went crazy and did this whole big political like rant and, you know, fascist political rant. And so I was like, ooh, okay. Oops. And it's not like I can get the money back at this point, so I do still use their stuff, but there's like stories behind everything now. It's like, how was I supposed to know? I'm not getting dossiers on every single module builder. All right, let's see. That goes to there. I'm wondering if we're supposed to have thunderstorms today. I guess I'm just hearing people moving stuff around. It just got real quiet upstairs. I wonder what's going on. Either people are taking naps or they're going shopping or something. Which is why doing this is fun. Ow! I did not see that coming. Damn it. It really pinched me hard. I was like, let's cut this header. Something bit me. Where's the header that that one, where's the other one? Oh, did I just cut the wrong one twice? No. I guess I haven't cut the other side yet. Stupid. Of all the stupid things that I've done, I'm still kicking myself over the powered multi that we built, and the fact that I did not do that right, and it was perfectly like laid bare in front of me on the schematic, is the fact that instead of routing this to this, I put things down in the schematic that looked good, and so my top connector went over to the second bank of amplifiers. My bottom connector went over to the first bank, and when I took that into the two-dimensional parts, I had assumed that the top one goes to the top bank and the bottom one goes to the bottom bank. It did not occur to me until literally that moment that you see yesterday when I plug the thing in and I see one bank of LEDs indicating one signal and the other one indicating the other. It did not occur to me that I had flipped. And so when you plug this plug, it fills these three. When you plug this plug, it fills these three. Totally nonsensical. Flatulent Gonad yesterday was trying to sell me on the fact that it being a little bit mad is actually a selling point. While I would like to agree with him, if I hand this to Julian and Dave, the first thing they're going to do is toss it, because it's too nonsensical for them. And it's too nonsensical for me, but I would live with it because I have 10 of these boards now. But no, these are radioactive garbage. These are radioactive garbage, and they're going to be buried in a concrete barrel. I'll hold on to like 3 or 4 of them just to pull up as an example of my own hubris, but or as spacers on some other like board manufacturing operation. But other than that, they are radioactive garbage. So to solder these pin headers, I think what I am going to do is just plug in the other board and let gravity just hold on to everybody. So let's actually get this one into the clamps. Give them the clamps, boss. The clamps. And then the male headers will be on the board that doesn't have the electronics, I guess. I don't think it really matters which direction they go in. And unlike the one of the things about the M303 and another weirdness about the German design is that they made their plugs, they had two two-row headers. They had two two-row headers like this, right? And they have them on different parts of the board, but they're 180 degrees symmetrical. So that if you plug it in upside down, your screw holes will be off by just a little tiny bit. Not enough that you can get a screw through there. So that would be a good indicator to you before you power it up. But if you're like me and you're testing it without the front panel on, and you plug it in upside down and it plugs in naturally, and you put a power plug on there, offset in the way that they want you to do, which is the way most of these M303s explode, you will damage your circuit. And I have damaged those circuits by doing that. I think. I don't know. Maybe we didn't. At least you didn't get them pre-populated, which you've done. Oh my God. Yeah, I was thinking about that because like all the surface mount soldering that I've done for ththese modular attic circuits, and you guys have been sort of toe to that. You've been in tow while I've been doing this sort of tear-jerkingly boring surface mount soldering sessions. I spared you guys from the 570 galore. This one has more chips than I would ever even eat in one sitting. But all of that soldering, it's like I could have just gotten a board that was already pre-populated with the surface mount stuff. It would have saved a ton of time. Personally, I feel like I wouldn't feel like I built it if I did that, but still, it's something that I could have done. But getting them pre-populated and then discovering a mistake, like the zany mistake that I made, would have been utterly devastating to my ego. I have blown up in my tenure as a electronics analyst for the Joe government, the FBI actually. I have blown up wholly unique devices, and in my tenure as a weird car builder, I have gotten $500 parts that I've never used. I had a oil assist, brake assist thing that Porsche uses, and their little inert gas bomb that sort of stores oil pressure. I was going to install that in the 944 LS1 project, but I never got around to using it. And so it sat and sat and sat. And then for my VW, I got one of the, I think, AEB heads. It's the 2001-ish era cylinder head for the Passat that has slightly more airflow. And I never installed it. And so when push came to shove, and I don't know if they'll ever discover this, there's a mechanic around here that I would drive by, a little, not shade tree, but it was like they owned the gas station and they worked on stuff they like. And there were a bunch of, what are they called again? Why did I just forget what it was called? The Corrado, the VW Corrado. There's a bunch of Corrados outside of it, right? And in various states of repair. I took that AEB head wrapped in plastic and I put it on a plastic lawn chair for that mechanic and I drove away. So that was another expensive thing that I never got to use. So in this hobby of building electronics and development, in doing DIY, in doing interesting and unique things that may or may not work, trying and doing, you end up with duds. You will get hosed. It'll be in the back of your mind for the rest of your life. Deal with it. That's been my attitude. I haven't eaten since the funeral yesterday, and I should probably nom. Yeah, Wheezy man, take care of yourself, huh? Don't forget that. Don't forget to take care of your own self. All right, so we need to plug in the bottom board, and then I need to solder the bottom board. Where is the bottom? Oh, it's right here. I thought I lost it. I'm losing my mind. Okay, get this stuff out of here. Get this stuff out of here. So we're just, I mean, I've got miscellaneous stuff that I need to do to all of these, and I finally got the chips in, and I finally got all the knobs in. So we're gonna have to unpack a whole bunch of knobbly knob stuff in order to solder in all this stuff. These don't look like they're really blocking anything, so we'll do these now, and then we'll have the male pin on the top board. I don't know why I would do it this way, but I'm just gonna do it this way. All right, and then this has the power supply on it, so I can't plug it in this way. That would be bad. So this goes this way. Funny, the nonlinear circuit board, all the knobs and stuff are on this side, and then all the components are on this side, including the power thing. I wonder if I should have been doing the power the other way. Well, there's no markings on this side. So I don't like these white circuit boards, but it's all modular addicts had. Twiddly fiddlers, yeah, exactly. My grandfather was from North England, and I didn't talk to him much, but I really should have, because then I could talk all weird like Brits do. And call things woobly smashers and bendy bits and things like that. It was a missed opportunity as a child to have a weird accent. All right, so we're soldering headers. This is like, I just ruined it. We're soldering headers. This is like the easiest thing we could do. To make sure everything's aligned, what I've done is I've plugged one board into the other, and they're just sitting via gravity, and it looks like it can wobble a little bit. So I'm gonna have to be careful that this thing stays straight up and down. I mean, I could come in here and anchor things and use like a gauge block, something like this, to make sure that it's flat. But I don't really think I need to bother. This is just like an angle block. We are really close in. We can back up a little bit today. Maybe you guys can give me a little bit of breathing space. You know, say it, don't spray it. But yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put one board on top of the other and then solder it, and then lament it being crooked. Hear the lamentations of oh bother. Because right now that seems pretty good. I don't know if it needs to be flat in this direction. I'll maybe do a little bit of lip service to that. Because you can see, like, that's at the bottom of its available wiggleitude. You can say nuns chuff, don't worry. I'm happy to have permission to talk like that, but it's not as ingrained in me. Right chuffed. Yeah, see, when I try to, it sounds really stupid. I do sometimes work in the sayings, but I gotta be careful about that because it doesn't sound genuine. I think that's pretty good. That should be pretty good. All right. So yeah, we're just going pin by pin and soldering all this stuff in. It's not very glamorous, but it does get the job done. Okay, that didn't... You're supposed to... All right. Hello? Oh, is that one connected to ground? I think that's a ground. Oh no, my iron turned itself off. The soldering iron seems to think, much like smoking in bed, that I'm holding onto this iron in bed and I've fallen asleep. And so it's saving my house from burning to the ground. Wow, that thing really sunk in. That solder's sinking into the next header. All this synthesizer stuff makes it seem like all I do is build synthesizers. We do a lot more on this stream. I can assure you of this. I'm like a variety game streamer, but for electronics. It's just the synthesizer stuff. I've been trying to have a synthesizer while we work on other things. Get into a little bit of music making. And Julian is my buddy who produces music, has introduced me to this whole world of making sounds. And so the electrical engineering side of making noises is really quite fascinating to me, because all the stuff that we've done has been digital in nature. And it's nice to get a little bit of that analog, because everything is analog. Everything, when you boil it down, even our brains are analog. So it's good to get a little bit of perspective of that. And the modular synthesizer, the Eurorack modules, are this walled garden of voltages and designs that you can then frolic in, knowing that you don't have to deal with RF. Just as long as I don't ever have to think about radio, because I also have a little bit of experience doing RF. And it's scary and it's weird. I never took a course on E&M. I actually went to one recitation and lecture on electricity and magnetism, because E&M was required for every other major but control systems. And I sat there and I looked at all of the problems that they wanted us to solve and the volume of homework, and I said, I'm out. I know E&M because I've dealt with E&M, but I have not taken a course in E&M. It was one of those engineering filter classes where they try to get everybody to quit engineering. Just realized my mistake with soldering is removing the heat too early because I'm afraid of damaging the components. It is very genuinely difficult if you have a temperature compensated soldering iron. It is genuinely difficult to damage anything with the heat from the soldering iron. I can assure you of this in our singular pin by pin soldering. Nothing is in any kind of danger. Now, that said, I am soldering headers. So if I was just soldering a blank header on the other side of this, I would not be comfortable holding the heat as long as I do. These are plugged into another header that's going to keep us all in alignment and allow that heat to dissipate. With the ICs, I have never ever once come even remotely close to burning an IC through heat. I've never seen an example of that. So soldering, a lot of the time, people who are good at soldering become very impatient. And so, yeah, holding that heat there just a little longer than you think allows the whole via to get to soldering temperature. All right, so that's all the headers on that side. This one still is doing weird stuff. That one's like sucked in all the solder. Maybe we can get just a little bit more on that. It just looks weird. That's one thing that I've had to learn over the years is they say in all the books, they say heat up the pad, not the pin. And so I would heat up the pin and then add a bunch of solder, and then the solder would heat up the rest of the via and the pad. Sometimes it is tough to get heat in, and usually that's because your tip is oxidizing too much. And so a quick little bath in the dry sponge for me, or using that tip cleaner stuff that's probably made out of pure cancer, usually refreshes the tip to the point where when I put it down on a pad, I'm heating the pad. If you really get into it and you're not heating that pad, I will, and it's against the advice of every single soldering tutorial, just put a tiny little bit of solder between the tip and the pad, and that will give you much better contact because you've got then liquid metal as your heating interface to get heat into the pad, and there's just a little bit of rosin inside the solder. So you're supposed to heat both. You're supposed to come in at an angle that has a lot of contact points with your pin and your pad, come in at an angle and heat both of them at the same time, and then you apply the solder to them, not the tip of the iron. But sometimes you come in there with the iron and it's just not transferring heat, so hitting it right at the between the two or at the interface of the two, or sometimes directly to the iron, will give you a little bit of rosin and a little bit of contact. Yeah, between the lead and the pad. Are you saying via? Yeah, vias are these rivets that go through the board. Typically they are plated through, but sometimes they're actually like, I'm trying to get a pointing device here. Sometimes they're actually like a physical rivet that's been installed and expanded into position. And what a via does is it takes your electricity from one side of the board to the other through a physical hole. So this is a via, this is a via, this is a via. When I say pad, what I'm talking about is the flat surrounding of a via, or just, you know, like a pad would be just an exposed piece of solderable material on the top layer. So this is a pad. The surrounding of the via is a pad. When I say via, I'm including the pad. And yeah, that's just, these are square pads, round pads. But a via is a thing that goes through the circuit board and is plated through in order to carry electricity through. You can have unplated vias that don't take the electricity through, but typically we call those holes. So anyway, thank you for explaining. That's something, that's an opportunity. You're asking that, and I'm glad you're brave enough to do that, because there are, people have asked for it, and I need to do it at some point, is do just a very basic stream. Every now and then I'd kick back and do Arduino basics, but something where I really explain literally every word that comes out of my mouth, because just like sailing, everything has its own name and people don't know what that is. And so they get very confused. So when you ask and I get to go on one of these little rants, first up, it takes up time, which is awesome. Second, I get to sound really smart. Third, it brings all the people who don't know what they're talking about up to speed. It helps educate everybody so that we can all have, you know, reasonable conversations about what the hell's going on in front of our on the screen. So I appreciate that very much. And it makes me look good. Okay, getting these things off is like always a trip. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. I don't know what to do with my hands. Oh wait, that doesn't look soldered. Hold on. Make sure everybody's back on. Get over here. It is soldered. I'm gonna put a little bit more on there just so it looks like everybody else. And the reason I don't dislike the white circuit board, I didn't get to that, is that the solder mask, which is the heat resistant, I think, polymer coating. It's like a paint, like an epoxy that they put on top of the board in order to electrically insulate it and keep us from being able to put solder down on the traces. The white material, so the circuit board is FR4, which is like a brown substance. Do I have any? I don't really have any that I can show. It's like a brown substance. And so when you put down that solder mask, you get different board colors. And so this would be a translucent green solder mask. But you can see here, we can see all of the traces because the bare FR4, the bare fiberglass that's underneath all of that copper, shows up as darker. Not with this stuff. This stuff would be more if you're trying to get light to all reflect off of a bunch of LEDs. So if you have a white PCB, you put it in a freaking light bulb. You don't make your nonlinear circuit reprint on white PCB, because then what is that via doing? Vaguely, I can kind of maybe see a bit of a shadow of a trace that brings it over to here. It's going to make troubleshooting very annoying. Black solder mask does this too. It's difficult to see where the traces are on a black PCB. It might look cool, it's like Batman, but it's not cool if you need to troubleshoot. And the reason that I have to hold it at an angle so that light reflects off of the 3D, you know, the copper that actually has depth to it. So I love the fact that you understand and explain the substrate of the PCBs. You know, it's a rant that I go on often. I love the yellow material. This is specifically from Seed Studio though. So there's a, depending on who's manufacturing your PCB, if it's you or if it's Seed Studio, if it's whatever, you get different, you know, color gradients. And then if you repair this, you can actually go get nail polish that resembles this color and use that on repairs if you really want to be super professional. JLC PCB does purple. Purple, I think I'm classifying with the white and black PCBs. I don't think I like the purple. It's very difficult to make out the traces. Only by virtue of their 3D nature can I see them. Yeah, green, yellow, red and blue also are okay. And then everything else, I don't know because I haven't gotten PCBs in those colors. All right, so this is not done, but these look okay. Yeah, those are, this one's a little leany. So now we got to solder this layer, and I guess I'm going to just perch these on top of these. And then that's sitting due to gravity. Oh, is wheelie yellow a way to describe... The only time I've ever encountered wheelie yellow is the YouTube channel, Wheelie Yellow. But did they name that after like a color, or is that their own unique name? Wheelie Yellow is like a RC car travel puppet British YouTube channel. It's awesome. It's like it was made for me. You guys should check it out if you get a chance. I post the videos in the Discord every now and then, but it's just such a unique channel where he sort of, the proprietor sort of makes their own RC car, and they're really good at filming that car blasting through various parts of Britain. I think a little bit north, but like public parks and stuff like that. And their camera work is, the editing and camera work is phenomenal. I called it that because of wheelie. Okay, so that is a unique, okay, I never know. I never know. It's like a slang term. It means something. Yeah, it's such a great channel. Love the concept. And I guess what they're doing is just wiggling a puppet, and then they come in post and put the mouth on. And then just the shot, I've learned a lot about filming RC cars from the different shots that they get and how they connect them. It's like a master class in making an exciting car chase scene. How to put a lot of energy into all of the edits that you have in like a typical car chase car, and what kind of pickup shots you need to get, and how to tell that story. It's really cool. Really, really cool stuff. It's not like I'm out here filming car chases, but if I ever had to, if I ever had to, I'd be taking notes on Wheelie Yellow in order to do it. So these are just the headers that bring the signal to the other parts of the board, and they also attach the boards together. That's why I like using these sort of round pins, because they make really good contact. They don't carry, I think, as much, well, they might carry the same amount as square headers of current, but they also hold on really, really well. They're quite adamant about being plugged in at all times. Yeah, it's if you know a little bit about film, if you've got a little bit of an eye for editing, you look at that the Wheelie Yellow and you're like, holy, this person knows what they're doing. Like, they've probably fooled around with a bunch of different edits and figured out what works really, really well to make sure that your car's going through a turn is like the most jarring and exciting scene that you've ever seen. It's like, this is boring, but maybe somebody will learn something from the soldering that I'm doing right now. Okay, headers, 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 all day. This stuff can be cleaned up later. It's like a last step. It's sometimes a step that I don't do. This would not show up as much if this wasn't, you know, a undriven snow circuit board. If you'll notice, and maybe you're not seeing this on the same level as I am, you guys develop an eye for this sort of thing, you'll notice that I haven't installed any of the knobs yet. So what I need to do now is install all the knobs. So we need to find all the knobs, then we need to put them onto this board, but because we've got these giant gaping holes, we need to put the front panel on so that everybody is in alignment. So this is going to be a weird session. Yeah, good edits, not easy work. And even just going out to the local park and being able to come home with a film can full of all the shots you need to do that is shocking. The twiddly fiddlers. Yes, that word. There's that word again. man, this is, I love nonlinear circuits. It's the circuit boards are designed kind of as the crow flies. And if you guys were able to see this with the detail that I am, all these circuit lines are mad. They're like exactly engineered in such a manner as to make the hair on the back of my head go up, right? It just raises the hair on the back of my neck, rather. You just go, ooh. And I love that. There's something called Topor router for, I think a KiCad has a plugin for Topor. Topor is exactly what I just described. If one pin needs to connect to the other, it's going straight over there at a 124-degree angle. Like it doesn't play any fiddle towards looking nice. It's just literally, and there's actually, Topor has actually been used, has been needed to be used for some telecom communications equipment where you want that trace to be absolutely as short as possible. It's a mad world. Let's take a look at the bill of materials and the stuff that I need to know for building this circuit, because it's possible, as with most of the other nonlinear circuit stuff, there's not much of a tutorial. We get a bill of materials, which again, this is where I wish they did U1, R1, because there's often notes at the end. Power diodes, the resistors, caps, and transistors are cheapest from Tadya, because they're in Australia. Join nonlinear circuits on Facebook. Why is it always Facebook? I am not getting Facebook. No. Gotta eat and phone. Yeah, go take care of yourself. Go do your stuff. I'll be here. Let's see. Resistors marked 100K star on the input and power stages can be adjusted for better balance between inverted and non-inverted signals. Try 51K. Oh, God. I'm not going to do that. Someone mentioned that Andrew on nonlinear circuits uses Topor. So these are actually Topor. Topor is the most Australian shitpost router that I've ever seen in my entire life. It just literally, like, you just look at it and go, that is an Australian shitpost. Like, it's just, there's no other conclusions that can be drawn from that style of circuit routing. And it's actually, Topor is actually Russian, I believe. But yeah, the things that Topor does curdles my milk. It's just mad. Because, like, okay, this is Andrew from Nonlinear Circuits. I haven't heard the name, so I didn't know that was their name. Andrew from Nonlinear Circuits. I have a lot of criticisms with how Andrew routes a board and does the component labeling, but I have nothing but the deepest respect for the type of work that's being done. I mean, these circuits are awesome. They're creative. They're interesting. They're fun to build. But man, please go to traditional style U1, R1. Please, it'll save you having to give us a little map of the circuit board in order to figure out what edits I have to do, which is what I'm doing right now. The 2470K on the bottom PCB can also be adjusted for a lower value to get these stages hotter in the mix. They'll cause the module to lock up at certain settings. Oh, geez. And you'll need to adjust the range pot to suit. No biggie, nothing gets hurt. Nothing. That's the good part about, you know, the walled garden of modular synthesizers, is that if everything is tolerant of 12 volts, you can do whatever you want. And you're not actually blowing up your own hardware. You're just creating stuff that's annoying. So, okay, so it doesn't look like there's any major edits here. No components that I need to, like, use differently. This is looking a lot more organized than the typical nonlinear. A lot of the stuff that I buy ends up being nonlinear circuits just because I really love the philosophy behind it, where it's like, I got to build a module this month. Let's go. Like, go. Build. Here's a new concept. Let's do this. But yeah, what this is doing is this is taking our audio and it is flip-flopping it with four 4-bit registers. And so I believe that simulates a digital sound out of I don't even know. I don't know what it's going to sound like. I didn't watch the video on it. So we're gonna find that out soon, and I'll assume that I've built this thing correctly because I have. But let's get some of these what you do's it's in the fiddly wibblers. What I've done is I have measured and not grid, but in Fusion 360 I took the little crosshairs on all of these components that symbolize where the component sits, and I've mapped them out into a sketch, and I've created my own front panel. So now I have a front panel that has all of my fiddly wibblers on it. So we can populate this front panel, plug our circuit board into it, and everybody is in alignment after we solder. Doing this in Fusion was kind of neat. I've developed a way to put I've figured out what the process is for putting polyvinyl, but not polyvinyl, just a vinyl sticker on the front, and then I use a label maker to label everybody else. So this is a nonlinear circuit series filter. This does need an anchor because I use the sort of these plastic pots on it. When you do that, it's like, what I should have done is gone through thonk.co.uk, because they apparently have like a tariff forgiveness thing, and I could have gotten all these knobs with no tariffs. I spent about $40 in tariffs for both this and my my own custom PCB for the powered mult. That, man, I'm still kicking myself about this. I'm going to talk about this throughout the stream because people come and go, and sometimes I'm talking to people who know a lot about modules. Sometimes I'm talking to people who just, you know, are here for the charisma. I don't know. Anyway, we put this thing together last stream, and you guys could see the very moment I discovered that because in the schematic I had my second bank on the right and my first bank on the left, I put my first bank on top of the second bank because that just makes sense in terms of how this is, and then I wired them so that it would be clean. So the second bank got the first plug, and it got all the way to where I have my own PCB design. I ordered it, I paid tariffs on it, I soldered in all the components. I had to order new components. I made it look McDonald's with the red and the yellow. And it turns out that if you plug in an input to the second bank, it goes to these three. And you plug an input to the first bank, it goes to these three. It's hot radioactive garbage. We fixed this one so that it works properly. And maybe on investigation, I can find an easy place to just scrape up a couple traces and run some wires. I would really like that because I have 10 of these. I really appreciate it when we could order 5 and it would be cheap, but now we order 10 and it's cheap. And the fix that we did requires motor wire under the ThonkyCon connectors. Homie, Homer. Okay, anyway. Why is it called a browser if I'm the one browsing? Am I the browsee? Am I being browsed? Well, Google will take so much of your information that, yeah, you're pretty much being browsed. But you browse the internet with it. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. You ever walk through a store? You're a browser. Maybe it's an internet Bowser. So long, Bowser. Oh, you thought I'd say the other one. I always thought that when you enter one of the paintings, he says nitpickle. Nitpickle. But it's actually let's go. And it's just so bit crushed that I couldn't make out what it was. So I'm sitting there playing Mario 64 going, nitpickle, ha 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 ha. And my friends hear it and they think I need a freaking doctor. I think I have mental problems. It's all it is e-waste. If I can find an easy fix, it won't be e-waste, but SynthCube in the US may have newer designs from them. Oh, maybe I'll have to look. Yeah. Yeah, Modular Addicts has a lot of old stuff, and I kind of like that. Uh-oh, we're gonna run out of plugs. I think we might be out of thonks. Uh-oh. All right, hold on, let's just see. Wah 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 wah. Nitpickle. It's not even words. Pickle, I guess. I heard Mario say the same thing as you. You're just brown nosing. You just want me to think that I'm cool. And I don't appreciate that. No, wait a minute. I do appreciate, wait, hold on. Hold on a sec. You can see the dire state of this bin. It's 10,000 nuts. And all I need is a fork. It's like meeting the man of my dreams and then meeting his beautiful wife. Isn't it ironic? No, it's not. That's not irony. That's not, no. You got it wrong. Try again. Back to the drawing board. I have 2 more connectors. One more connectors. These are the knockoffs that you shouldn't get. They're not knockoffs. I think they are actually the same supplier, but they do not have what I like to call the shoulder. The shoulder on these ThonkyCons is a little bit of metal right at the base of that screw, so that when you screw the nut on, if you use a tool to tighten it so that it doesn't loosen itself, it doesn't extrude the threaded part out of the ground connection, which is just very weak folded metal. You can see this one started to do it. It will extrude that through this plate that it's supposed to be attached to that brings ground in, but it also stabilizes, you know, your stuff. I've seen a lot of broken versions of this. Don't use these. Buy the good ones. These are the good ones. These may be good for attaching wires to because they've got this big tab on there, but if you can attach a wire to that, you can attach a wire to this. It's just as easy. So yeah, while that's nice to loop a wire through, these should not be used. These should only be used with the knurled edge nuts, and they should only be hand tightened. Thonk has a $40 nut driver that should not be used because it can be used on these. This is the electrical engineer warning all the musicians who have learned how to solder to not repeat my mistakes and break their hardware constantly, because I've had to fix quite a few of these exact mistakes that I go over. So this should only ever be hand tightened, and if you got like 100 of them on a panel, they'll hold on decently well. They'll eventually loosen up. But if you have the proper ThonkyCon and you use these and you drive them, you got to be careful grabbing these with pliers because you'll scratch your front panel. So if you have like a 10 millimeter, I think it's 10, I forget which one it is, whatever. If you have the nut driver for this and you tighten, even just holding onto the socket with your fingers and tighten that, if you use the wrong connector, it will extrude and you will no longer have a connector. You will have a hole. So be warned. Don't make the mistakes I made, ye hearty. Okay, we need these dudes. What are those dudes? It's gonna be like a bunch of different ones, a bunch of different dudes, right? What are we using? We are using 11 100K B-pots. So that's actually the 100K B-pot is going to be the ones that I got behind me in the DigiKey bin. How come we haven't had an ad in a while? Did an ad run and I just wasn't aware of it? No, we haven't had an ad in a while. Oh, because we've got 10 seconds, 10 seconds until an ad. I'm not going to talk about anything interesting during the ad. Just gonna get my potentiometers out here that I spent so much friggin' money on. So I didn't order these from Tadya. Frosty Box, how you doing? These are made by, who are these? These are by TT Electronics. They're a direct copy of the Alpha potentiometers. They got that same sort of weighty feel to them. And they're very common in modular synthesizer stuff, so I order them by the bushel. Nitpickle. I'm the only person who heard that. Are you making the filter module off public plans, or was this a kit? This, I can't, hopefully you can hear me, and maybe I'll say it again once we're done with the ad break. But I bought the panels from Modular Addicts, and it's just a circuit board with nothing else. And so I've had to order all the parts, solder all the parts, look at if there's a tutorial, how much of a tutorial is there, and then I got to tune these things myself. And so luckily a lot of these makers who sell the circuit boards to Modular Addicts also have tutorials. And apparently, where is that? Synth Cube in the United States has some newer boards. I've been getting a lot of these Modular Addict circuits, and so I'll end up with a like version 1 of the circuit board, and it's like outdated, and they've made some corrections and stuff like that. But I actually like that because, again, we're kind of scrappy here, and I enjoy sort of being left to my own devices to build these things, and being able to be an expert instead of being, because a lot of the kit that you can get is just a like all the surface mount stuff has already been done for you, and it's just not, that's not as fun to me as having a circuit board with no other information and building a module off of that. You know, I happen to also be an expert in designing synthesizer electronics and stuff. So, and we've done a lot of Twitch interactive stuff on the stream. So there's been a lot of that stuff. I'm actually pretty advanced in my ability to build things, but I don't necessarily have all the parts that I thought I would. Hopefully you heard that, Mango Automata, and you're not caught in a 3-minute ad. We got about 30 seconds until the ad is done. As we just wait, we wait for my indicator that the ad is done. You heard, okay, cool. Wait a minute, how did you? I don't care. I don't care. I think every, like, all the first time chatters, like, during ads is so funny because it's like, wait a minute. No questions. Yeah. I say nothing. I refuse to incriminate myself. No, I run the ad block thing from the GitHub page, whatever that script is. I've had it mess up on a couple streams. Hey, welcome back, people who are legitimately watching ads. We totally weren't talking about running certain scripts that will block the ads on Twitch and make it a little bit more like it used to be, where your support of the creator is for the love of the game instead of incentivized by emotes or ads or any of those other carrots that they try to dangle. There's a piece of tape holding this together. So, yeah, apparently SynthCube is a place to get these, but these are not kits, they're just boards. Oftentimes when they sell a kit for the musicians to put together, all the surface mount parts are already on the thing, which I don't like. I like doing this from scratch. So I have had to buy a whole ton of parts, and I've had parts lying around because you never just buy exactly what you need. You always buy a little bit more, right? So now I have CD4015s. I have a couple extra surface mount ones. You always order just a little bit more than you need, and that builds up sort of a supply of parts that you can use to repair and build circuits like this. So you actually had a statistical anomaly of the order of just, it would never happen in a million years, right? This is such a rarity that I bought a nonlinear circuits module, and again, it's a white PCB. I hate these. But anyway, bought a nonlinear circuits module, and I happened to have the main chip that made it work in the right package, through hole, whatever that Echo chip is. I bought a pack, like a little kit of audio integrated circuits, and it happened to have a couple of these in it. Because apparently this delay echo thing is such a common thing in DIY audio. Crazy. Exactly what an unethical clown would do. I do way more than just block ads. I watch the ads, of course. Wait a minute. Block ads? I made a list of products and services. Specifically not to buy. Yeah, I know. It's like... Actually, Twitch is not to say it's good by any means, but Twitch ads. I got an ad for 3D printer filament, and I was like, you know what? I'll give that a pass. All right, B100K. I ordered a bunch of these. These are from Tadya, TT Electronics. Tadya. They are basically the part. They're designed exactly like the Alpha pots, and they're a little cheaper. So I'm using these. If I had discovered that I could order from thonk.co.uk, I would have ordered from them all of the pots, because they have all of the weird ones, like the 50K, and because I can only find these in 100K and 10K from DigiKey. But if I go through Thonk, I can find them in 50 and with a detent and 1 mega ohm and all that stuff. Is one of these 1 meg? Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, cool. Oh man, Andrew did us a good favor on this one and just used the 100Ks. Okay, these are all going to fall out as I plug in the potentiometers because they've got their feetsies have little springy thingies on them. So, and then they've got like a little foot there that sits against the board. So we can actually plug all of these in before we put the front panel on. Some of these are going to be blue because I couldn't find like 1 mega ohm versions of these for some of these other circuits. Now, I may continue to build these just because there's so many of them and I kind of want to get it done. I would like to build them with you guys, but sometimes this stuff is a little bit boring, and maybe we should get to actually playing the synthesizer at some point this month, this year. So I may do some stuff behind your back, chat. Do you always buy in bulk? Only when I need to buy bulk. I don't buy bulk. That would create a lot of waste. I buy a little bit extra. And depending on what it is and how often I see myself using these parts, I will order more or less extra. And depending on the price too, man. One of these things, the DAC, the digital to analog converter chip, was $14. $14 for a single, maybe that, okay, it's not as shocking maybe to you guys, but as somebody who populates boards and kind of knows the pricing and stuff, $14 for an integrated circuit is utter nonsense. They should be well under $1, but it's so specialized, possibly even rare, that it would be that expensive. It's nuts. Because, you know, like you guys said earlier, and I've never experienced, you could accidentally burn up an integrated circuit by soldering it for too long. So you need to have extra. So I bought one extra. We made it 28 bucks. Madness. Most of these components should be considered disposable, completely disposable, because accidents happen. These are like, some of them are bent a little weird. I have to like kind of sneak the anchor legs in a little bit. Get in there. This one's going to be fascinating. I can't wait for this one in the full synth setup. I find it incredibly merciful that we have all 100 kilo ohm pots. Do you still use lead solder? I have partially leaded solder. Yeah, it's the mix is, I think, 60-40. 60-40 from Kester. I meant to get unleaded solder, and actually I reordered solder recently because Stream finally, it took 5 years for my 1 pound of leaded solder to go away. And then I bought the same thing again. So I really shouldn't have done that, but unleaded solder is pretty good nowadays. I know my chat, oh my God, my chat, they were in here talking about the benefits of literally gargling on lead, just chewing it, just buying a chunk of lead and just chewing on it. They were apparently saying that there's a lot of virtues in that. It's actually really good for you. I'm happy to get the lead out of all of electronics because I've been soldering my entire life, and I'm probably a little bit Mad Hatter because of the lead. Probably, maybe that's why I have ADHD. I don't know. But anyway, I'm glad they got the lead out. Now, at first, God, that one really fought me. At first, the formulation of the unleaded solder was not great. It was difficult to solder. You needed to turn your irons up to 710 degrees Fahrenheit, and that caused more damage to circuit boards at those higher temperatures because you can lift pads. They'll sort of delaminate themselves from the FR4. And, you know, all the old heads went pish posh. I've been chewing on lead since I was a baby. And by the way, my parents almost got, I almost landed my ass in Child Protective Services away from my parents because one time I got blood work done and they found high levels of lead because we lived in an old house and I played on a windowsill that had leaded paint dust all over it. And so they thought that my parents were feeding me lead. So I got a history with this stuff, but listen, don't let the old dudes fool you. The newer formulations of unleaded solder are really good. They work fine. They solder just fine. They flow fine. They might not have that luscious reflection ability that leaded solder has, but getting the lead out of your body is more important than looking nice. Oh, bother is magnetic. Yeah, there's a little bit. Just a little bit. If I stand, you know, I can feel the presence of an MRI. Oh no, I am an old dude. The leaded solders flow really nicely. They do, but unleaded has come a long way. And so there's good unleaded solder. My advice ends there though, because I have not been, like if I was manufacturing stuff, I'd probably need to use unleaded solder, but I haven't needed to use anything like that. So what is our LED? 3mm LED, super bright or similar? Why would you use a super bright? Is that only going to be working? It's a peak indicator. Okay, so that's not going to go in the other direction. Where is it in our circuit? Where are LED? What are LED? Who are LED? But nobody asks how is LED. It's an input peak indicator. Overload. We're going one direction to ground through an amplifier. I wonder if I could put a bidirectional LED there, if it would do anything. What do you guys think? Because if that's our positive input, where is it coming from? Our input is going into, I guess we're in an inverting configuration, 1K, 10K into the rest of the stuff. Oh, I see. This is where we're getting our various levels. And then from that, we're coming from 100K range pot directly from variable range. Where's our audio? Our audio is down here. This is, again, this right here. If I can just pull this as an example right now, nothing against Andrew of Nonlinear Circuits, but I will never do a four-way junction in a schematic. I will do everything in my power to avoid that. That's a little weird. Four-way junctions have existed since the very beginning of drawing schematics and communicating in this manner. I don't do it because if I have a mistake and I have two wires that pass over one another, there's zero chance that this is connected together, right? And obviously in this design, you can say, well, that's not obviously not connected because otherwise schematically the circuit would make no sense. But I'm just pulling this as the first thing that I saw with two wires crossing over one another. I will never do a four-way junction because if you have something that looks like this, it doesn't mean you forgot to put a dot on top of it, like they forgot to put a dot on top of this. But because it's a three-way junction, I know that those are connected together. There's supposed to be a dot there, right? So simple concept, but if you follow that rule, then you don't get caught like, you know, oh, was I supposed to attach something there? And it looks like they kind of followed that pretty nicely. It's just like there's no dots on some of these where there should be dots, and that's a minor thing, very minor thing. But it would be a major thing if I didn't know that, you know, whether or not that was supposed to be connected. Some people do a little jump. They draw over and they put a little jump with the circuit line. Kind of funny. What the heck is going on there? So our LED is coming directly out of an amplifier, and that looks a lot like some of these circuits that we've been actually working on, where we actually do have a positive and negative indicator. How would you wire the bidirectional LED? It literally just goes right in here because it's referencing to ground, not -12. So if it's referencing the LED to ground, the flow of electrons is going to go in both directions. And so the LEDs that I have are two diodes that are in opposite directions. We actually did a, what is it called? Mutable instruments. Just referencing veils. This is pretty much what that circuit is. And so this, well, it's close, but this is what we put in our powered mult. And this is a slightly, it's more sensitive to the middle voltages, but it basically biases a bidirectional LED positive and negative depending on what the input is. So I'm going to put a bidirectional there and it'll work just like everything else. That's cool. Bidirectional LED, that's in one of the bins. Let's go get a bin. Yeah, because modular synthesizers use positive and negative 12 volts, your comparators are all biased to plus and minus. You know, it's like 10 volts really, but they all have positive and negative voltage on them. And so ground is right in the middle of that. And so a diode as a flow control device will block in one direction and allow current to flow in the other. And so if you've got ones that are two colors, depending on the direction, you can just throw that right in there and it'll indicate positive and negative. Let's just check. We can check using the multimeter. There was a stash of blue and red, and then I've got green and red somewhere. Blue and red can be kind of confusing. I did that to be silly, but I always say it weird. The multimeter. So we go to the dreaded diode mode. The dreaded diode mode is the mode that beeps at you when you've got circuit continuity. Continuity means they're connected to one another. Shun. I say words weird. I do that purposely. Actually, some of my friends didn't know that that was sort of what I always do. I always say stuff in a weird way, just to entertain myself, and they thought I was really, really dumb. They thought I was dropped as a baby, just because I say stupid stuff to. Anyway, okay. We are in a mode that biases a diode and figures out how many volts it takes to get the diode to conduct, how much of an electric field is needed to bypass the junction between the doped and undoped silicon. There's sort of like a charge barrier there that expands. That's the physics of your switching stuff. With a diode, with an LED, well, with a normal diode, when it does bias, they actually, some of them emit infrared light. So you'll have a can around it that's opaque epoxy, so no light gets out. But we discovered that some formulations of that silicon, when you do get current to flow through the diode, emit visible light. And so we've made all those formulations, we've biased it, we've done all that stuff, and we know that it's about 1.4-ish volts that you lose to making light. When I attach the multimeter, they want me to say it normally, when I attach the multimeter to a diode, we can see it actually biases it so that we can see the light coming out. Some of them are really bright. If I go the opposite direction, I can discover whether or not this is a bidirectional LED. It is. It's red now. So if you're working with a bunch of LEDs that you haven't labeled, it really helps to have very tiny multimeter probes that you can then use to suss out your diodes. Trying to remember the YouTube channel I follow where the guy pronounces everything in an odd way. It's great, but it's like listening to another language sometimes. I don't know, you can tell if somebody's kind of forcing it, because I've seen videos like that and they are enraging because they kind of force saying things in a weird way, where I'd go, the multimeter, and it's like, what are you doing? So I just say multimeter, because saying multimeter, it takes my mouth longer to say. And it's partially to entertain myself. So I gotta watch out about that though, because I could get as irritating as those folks. Like regular colored diodes, regular LEDs, yeah. So yeah, that's one of the tricks, is getting the multimeter out and using your positive and negative probe to figure out what the biasing of the diode is. In our case, I guess I'm just going to put this in the normal pinout, because technically on LEDs, the ones with leads, the longer lead, I believe, is the anode, and the short one is the cathode. But we don't want to rely on lead length, because that can be cut. It's like the first thing you do to it is you cut it. So what we look for typically is the toilet bowl. You can't really see it with this one. If I get a clear one, I can show you guys. On a typical, and again, typical is doing a lot of work here. On a typical LED, do I even have a typical LED that I can show? Hold on. Let's look at normal. Which one of y'all is normal? My LED collection is very weird. This is a bit of dust, and this is a typical 5mm LED, right? And so the leads have been cut. Can't rely on lead length, but what we can see inside of there, because there is a metal lens, and then there is a plastic lens in order to sort of magnify the appearance of that chip and make it so your LED emits a lot of light in sort of a focused way. What you can see inside of there is basically a prison toilet. We've got a toilet bowl that has a little square chip at the base, and then a wire coming off of that goes to this other post. So typically, and I'm going to say typically a lot because it's not, sometimes you'll find exceptions, and good Lord, do people on the internet love to find exceptions to things. If you say something definitive, they will find a counterexample within the physics allowable amount of time of, finding a counterexample. It's instant and it's almost reliable. You could generate energy off of it. But yeah, typically the toilet bowl is minus and the little pin is plus. I'll probably do that for probably interference purposes, but it's easier to identify. Then there's other identifiers on the LED itself too. There is a flat portion of the rim around the base, and that is the positive pin or anode. So typically the cathode will be the bowl and the anode will have a cut, a flat section in the side. But all of that being malleable, none of it, they're not going to arrest you for making an LED that's not like that. So use the multimeter and you can just bias the diode and figure out what color the LED is when it emits light. How do you determine if it's opaque? I don't know what LEDs you have that are opaque. I guess infrared emitters. And if it's an infrared emitter, you're not really going to be able to see it. So you probably would be best to take your phone out and do the test with the multimeter, because your phone will be able to faintly see infrared. And I emphasize that a lot because people get it wrong. I guess people just don't know. Every single camera that the consumer has access to has a little piece of glass on it that's going to filter out infrared light. And the reason for that is because your camera's sensor sees it as kind of like a cyan, like a really light blue. And the camera is trying to bias its color to get a certain histogram of colors out of its whatever it's looking at. And that's why, my cameras will look blown out or it looks like I'm about to pop with blood, like my hands will explode, because it's seeing sort of a general average of colors and trying to kind of color balance things. So that infrared light being just about everywhere, I mean, like infrared lights coming out of those, infrared lights coming out of my ears, I don't know, whatever. Because there's so much uncontrollable infrared everywhere, you don't want it to bias towards the blue, and then your camera, everything goes red and weird when your camera biases. So you have that filter in place. People say the forward-facing camera on your cell phone does not have that filter. They are wrong. It does. If you ever view through a camera that does not have that filter, you would be shocked at how bright your TV remote is. It lights up an entire wall of the room. It's crazy. Just for my sanity, the flat edge, I believe that's the negative side. Maybe that one might have been a weird LED then. Because the flat side, the cathode, and the short leg, well, it's the long leg. The flat side is positive. Let's double back and just make sure we're not spreading misinformation. Not left legs. No, don't. I don't want to see the left leg. No. Oh yeah, flat spots on the negative. Why do I have counterexamples? Yeah, Lawn Dog is indeed correct. It's just that, well, this one's bidirectional, so I guess by nature it's different. But yeah, see, we got a flat spot on the long lead, and the long lead is positive. So this is a counterexample. And maybe the one that I pulled out was also weird. That could have been a very dangerous Google search. I know, just one letter off, and Google is like shoving my stuff like into AI, and AI is going, oh, you're looking for porn, and just pulls up porn. Yeah, the flat edge is supposed to be the cathode, the negative side, but both of the LEDs that I pulled out of my collection have the opposite. So that's what I mean about getting the multimeter out and actually testing your leads to see what color your LED is and what it do and all that stuff. What's up, Ghost Slap? So do I put the flat spot with the flat spot for this flat spot for the LED spot for the flats? I guess I'll just put it in, and if I get it wrong, I'll have to put it the other direction again. It's just in this one, the short leg is the flat leg, or no, the long leg, but the short leg is supposed to be I can't keep track of this, man. Okay, we'll just put it in a direction, and hopefully green is good and or green is positive and red is negative. Yeah, that's a like weird thing. You can't trust any of the typical LED things unless you know you're buying LEDs that follow the standards. And there are no LED police. There's no international committee on getting all of those little signs right. Not even the toilet bowl. So in the end, your friend is a diode testing multimeter. The micro wavy, that was the one that I heard recently. It was some Australian chick calling it a micro wavy. I was like, what? What did you just say? Micro wavy. Did you just say micro wavy? Your method of looking at the internals is the advanced method. It's still not reliable, though. It's still not reliable. I've seen examples of the counterexample. I've seen the counterexample. That's what I should have said. It's just, it's a mad world out there, everybody. I need to actually watch that movie. It's a mad world. If I quote it so much, probably could use the other side. I think that's better for holding. Okay, presumably, and I can't vouch for the plastic front panel that I made, but presumably everything is sitting flat here. I can search around to get that LED into the LED hole. Oops, I clamped my solder. Boy, that's heavy. There we go. Now I've got the LEDs in the LED hole. We've got all the connectors in the connector holes. These I need to just do, like, make sure they're flat. I don't know how exactly I can do that. Maybe here's what I could do. Just do, this is too long. Damn it. I was going to just pop that against the side and then they all would have reoriented properly. Do I have anything that's small enough for that? Small? Yeah, it actually works. No, that actually doesn't work. Pop quiz, hotshot. Okay. Now they're gonna just turn when I'm not looking. Yeah, credit card, another circuit board, those are good ideas. I want to make one of those songs that goes dun 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 dun. It's like dun dun, right? The beats bump bump, but it starts out with a do do do. I always like songs that do that. Okay. You know, maybe that'll... no, that didn't work at all. Look at that one. You bastard. And I just have to hold it so that it does that. Or do I need to press down on this a little bit? I don't know. None of this stuff is going to work properly. Huh. Because I can't put too much pressure on it, and as soon as anything moves, it'll wiggle itself free. The other thing is that this is a giant, like, spring, because that plastic isn't exactly going to keep everything on. I could... No, I don't think putting the screws in will really... That's too much work. I think I'm just going to solder them. I'm just going to solder them and move on with my life. I can't stay here my whole life thinking about these sockets. This is a conundrum. Just the sheer amount of solder that I need to put on this to get it to actually connect it all. So it ends up looking like this, and I nearly burn out. This is where the heat of your soldering iron is not your friend, because these thonks are made out of cheap plastic. And this is where I really dislike the nonlinear circuit ones. I could try to put a via rivet on that, but then it'll stick up, so it's not really good. If I had like a crossbar that I could put down, that would maybe be a little better. But I think just doing that is as good as it gets. I'll have to check over. Maybe putting the front panel on is not the play here. I may have to just put these in like manually, but then there's so much wiggle room that I don't know if they're aligned properly. So I think maybe doing this is the only way that I'm going to be able to get these things in and have them be moderately straight. Well, the thing is, if you solder this one first, the entire connector can just come out. So it doesn't really do that much for you. But yeah, they look relatively okay where they are right now, so we'll just kind of power through them. Try not to apply heat for too long. I just want that bubble bridge over the whole thing. The proper thonk connector hole actually looks like this. Oh, that circuit board fell on the floor. Where's that? This is actually what the data sheet, where is that? This is what the data sheet specifies as an oval. None of these are like super crooked, so I think if we just inspect them afterwards, they should be okay. Micro wavy. We'll see. When we pull the veil back on this thing, they're all going to be completely cockeyed. But then again, we don't see that from the other side of the panel, so. You just delivered a Mitsubishi tractor. Hell yeah, brother. Yeah, these are cursed. Doing the pins like this, I hate it. I really wish I had something that I could throw into there to make it more narrow again. Did you see that video, Haystack, where the lady was talking about the micro wavy? Maybe you didn't. I only coughed up part of a lung. Oh, do you still have COVID? Yeah, she was saying microwave, but she was saying micro wavy. I was caught out saying multimeter earlier, and it made me think of that. You've never seen it? Okay. That was a terminally online thing that I found, I guess. So these are thonk connectors, the proper ones, not the through-hole ones, or the ones that extrude themselves, and non-linear plans on those knockoff ones. And so the holes for them are vast, but we can rely on our solder to sort of bridge that gap and make a connection. Less mechanical as a normal via would be, but it's enough that our signal's coming in and all that stuff. I've wondered how to do those flat pins in the circular hole. You don't have to fill the hole full. No. I mean, I would like to have something surrounding that actually attaches, but instead I'm just using the surface tension of everything in order to make a giant bridge. Not ideal, but then again, we're in the world of synthesizers and not, this isn't like medical equipment, so we should be okay doing this. It's not going to be that noticeable that we're going through an inordinate amount of solder in order to have our signal come into the rest of our board. Then again, if I saved stuff like this, I could probably just bridge one of these across like that, and that would make all the connections for me too. That may be the way that I would advocate doing it. This is the lazy way. Let's see how crooked these are. I'm obviously the noob. Thanks for the help. Hey, no problem. Glad I helped. Yeah, these are a little crooked as a result, but I've learned not to worry about that too much. They're in kind of a wave right now. but as long as they're flat against this board, and as long as they line up with the front panel, which they do, we should be okay. These spring clip into place, so I'm just gonna put them back down and we'll solder all of those. About 90% good, just leftover goobers. Yeah, so those coughs are one of those coughs where you know you're annoying everybody, but it's like, hey, it's getting out of my body, so I need to do this cough. That's how I always, you know, somebody who hears coughing quite a bit, I try not to let it get to me, because it's like, they need to cough. They need to get that stuff out, and they wouldn't be coughing if they could help it. Anything I've done so far has worked. Well, that's the survivorship bias. Although talking about survivorship bias in electronics is weird. Yeah, this requires just a ton of solder, and it's... I would almost not want to solder these in, to be honest. Just because the vias are so big, and it's like they'll never be challenged. They're going to be attached to a front panel. The only time you would ever really need this brace here is if you accidentally left one of these screwed in, and it would otherwise bend the potentiometer. So we're looking at soldering basics through hole. The whole thing about soldering is much like welding, you want to be comfortable. We cough a lot. Yeah, I have a family member here who basically coughs every night, and it's like, I don't know what's going on, but it's like, I can't get annoyed. I have to put headphones on, because it's better out than in. So when I'm soldering like this, I'm sitting on a stool from the 1960s, which is not necessarily too comfortable. I refurbished these stools by putting threaded plugs in them. Hurts my butt a little bit. I have to wear shoes because the metal on the stool is pretty pointy, but this is all at standing height. So somebody can walk up and they'll be approximately at the same height as I am. Then, by virtue of necessity, I have the butcher block desk with a riser on it. The riser has some extra sockets on it and stuff like that. That's cool. I taped a bunch of cabinet lights to the underside. And then I have my 3 monitors that I'm streaming on up here. This is the one that you guys can see in the one scene. This is the one where I have chat and OBS. This is what I'm broadcasting. Whatever I see on OBS, that's why it's absurd when people tell me that I'm not seeing something on the screen, right? It's like, bother, did you know that Start Soon was playing? Yeah, it's right there. It's right in front of me. So, and then over here, I have sort of the utility windows. So Discord, the stream stuff that gives me the number of viewers. That's actually pretty high for lately. And the stuff that I need to like announce and stuff. The last thing that ever happened was Boom Leg Shot subbing 2 hours ago. I'm not a big streamer, guys. I have the music that I play, and then I have like some other stuff. This is like the stuff. This is the discarded stuff window. Oh yeah, my stream key is right there. So over here, I am looking at the feed from the microscope. This is what I use to look through the microscope, and that camera is above my head. I'm actually looking up at it, and so I'm not sitting here hunched over the desk doing what I'm doing because it's a static desk setup. This is actually a very beneficial way to do this, is to have the microscope and the monitor up, and you're working down here, but you're looking straight ahead, keeps your back straight. I don't have back problems, any back problems at all, and I'm a big fatso. If you were using like the jeweler's loop or a knitting headset, it's a thing that I have. It makes you look really, really cool. If you were doing this stuff and you didn't want to get the computer and a microscope and all that stuff, I would suggest going on Amazon or whatever e-commerce site, or going to a thrift store and finding some of these. No particular brand. It's a Chinese white product that everybody puts a weird brand name on. Yakto Sun is what this one is called. Of course, it's got something stupid as the name, but these are probably going to make you look really cool. I would not go outside with these on because I would be just the ladies would be swarming me. These make you look really sophisticated and awesome. But what they also allow you to do is see in stereo very close up, and that helps you do inspections of get a sense of distances at a very small scale, and they've got a light directly on them. So that means that everything you're looking at is illuminated with minimal shadows. This is what I would be using to do the really small stuff if I didn't have this setup. This setup is much more powerful than these things are, but if you are a consumer, you know, if you're trying to just build like a couple modules for fun and maybe to learn soldering small stuff, boom, right here, get some of these. They were cheap. They were like 15 bucks, I think. And I think they're cheaper now. I don't know. And you can swap out the lenses too, so. That looks a lot harder than a stereo microscope that I don't have space for. Yeah, I have a stereo microscope and it's sat up in the corner of the shop for years. I've never used it. The problem with stereo microscopes is that you've got to put your face up against it. And those, like, what are they called? Like scorpion units, the ones that have the spinning lenticular lens. They've got just like a little hood that you just need to look into, and then you can see the stereo microscope. That's what we would use at the FBI back when I was contracted there. It was, you just put your head near it and you would get like yeah. Can someone link the glasses? Yeah, it's, look up like needlepoint magnifying glasses. I got those on like an Amazon sale just for Sharts and Gargles. I shouldn't say that because AVE says that and we don't like him. And I don't want to sound like the AVE subreddit where everybody's trying to sound like AVE, and it gets kind of grating. Anyway, for shits and giggles, I bought those just so that I could see what they were like, and it looks really, like, it's really useful. That thing is great. For a while, I just had a headlamp and a jeweler's loop to do all this stuff, but that thing is superior to it, also because it's cheap. So yeah. Needle point magnifying, I don't know, call it visor or something like that, or just headgear, headlamp, and look for the one that comes with like a little box of lenses. It should not be expensive. Not a fan of Unk. COVID revealed many things about characters that we wish we never knew. Kind of like Mike Rowe works with millionaires on dirty jobs, because these guys that do these dirty jobs make millions of dollars. And he's a little bit less of a working people's advocate than you'd think. Which, you know what, I don't mind. It's fine. But yeah, all these people we thought. Anyway, I'm not going to go into it. That's not a reflection. That's actually a little gap. Ungap that gap. There we go. Started as a salesman? I've been seeing him in ads for guys that redo your basement. Kind of heavy on the neck. What are we talking about? I use those for STM32 chip soldering. Those STM32 chips are crazy. Those things will do your homework. It's unfathomable how powerful those freaking chips are. For mutable instruments stuff, yeah, I've built quite a few mutables, and those are the hard part. And then getting those chips, they're like 15 bucks each. They're crazy. Just and you know, there's newer, better ones, but it's like I was buying everything from Modular Addicts, so they were you know, fully outdated boards with a white solder mask, which I really despise. I'm gonna have to look at SynthCube. I'm gonna have to look at SynthCube in the future and see if they've got stuff that I like, because apparently they've got more updated stuff, and it's also US stock, so I'm not gonna be over the barrel on freaking tariffs. I paid $40 in tariffs for all this stuff that we've been working with this week, and I'm livid that I had to do that. They basically hold your package at gunpoint and go, "We need $20." And I'm like, who the hell are you? That's DHL. More like DSL. Oh Lord, I hear that. It's the first time I've been hit with tariffs because we put some PCB projects on hold because every day was a new unfathomably stupid bullshit thing in the news. Tariffs are 1,000%. They're 1%. They're 2%. Xi Jinping sneezed during a meeting, and President Trump said, "I'm going to tariff you more now. Ooh, tariff me, daddy." And so that was going on for a little while. I didn't know if mid-shipping they would toss my package into the ocean because I didn't pay 500,000% tariffs suddenly. So I didn't order anything. We didn't design anything. The keyboard project got permanently sidelined. It was a very sad day, and it continues to be, because now I've actually been charged for these just bullshit tariff fees. $20? Are you kidding me? It was like $30, $37, so about $40 to get the circuit boards made, with the $27 shipping, and then $20 of tariffs on top of that. Let me tell you something about hate. If you wrote hate on every single dollar bill of the tariff that I received, I like that image where they're taking the hose to the computer motherboard. It's got like just a water hose on it, and it's hate. Let me tell you about. I know, I can't imagine. Some people probably play an incredible amount in tariffs. Hey, that's a red light. That means that somebody has subscribed, and it was Elon Snusk holding your package hostage. Get your hands off of my package, Elon Snusk. Hey, thank you so much for the 3 months. Like with my jeans are tariffed from Japan. Yeah, so apparently I was looking at Thonk. I just ordered $40 in ThonkyCon connectors because we are literally out of them now. This is the only module that I'm going to be able to build until my package comes from Thonk over in the UK. But Thonk, or the Royal Mail in some degree, has this thing where they pay the tariff. So instead of DHL coming at me for $20, otherwise they throw my package in the ocean, Royal Mail will pay the tariff. And so when the inevitable lawsuit comes around that demands tariffs have to be refunded because it was the whims of a madman who doesn't know a single goddamn thing about international politics, the refund will go to the Royal Mail and they will have their money back, instead of I pay extra so that the company that I ordered from gets a nice big bolus of cash. If I remember Mike right, Mike Rowe was at Home Shopping Network for an interview, and he had to try to sell a pencil to the guy interviewing. So he's a salesman pitch guy. What was his take on the pencil thing? Sell me this pencil. And I go, no. I walk out. I would like for you to sell me this pencil. No. Don't waste my time. And I just leave. Taxing the people who actually build things in your country a lot more doesn't seem like the brightest idea. It's almost like if you interacted with these ideas for more than a half second, you would plainly see something like that, right? We're going to bring manufacturing back to America by tariffing everything you need to manufacture. What? What? Huh? Who's building chips? Like, where does my TL-074 come from? I don't think anybody's building that in America. Get that from overseas. But then I build the thing that it goes in here, like I'm doing right now. It's boy, we're in the negatives, people, in terms of stupidity. Actually, wait, is negative stupidity smartness? Does it loop around? All right, there's the big stuff. That required a lot of soldering, and while it may look savage over here and bad, and you know, maybe it would be cool to make them all look like this, I don't want that solder to run into the actual connector itself. So we need to unplug this thing from the front panel, and we need to plug a bunch of connectors into it. And then we get to power it up and see if it blows up. We had a module actually blow up today, or yesterday. We had it actually blow up, and that's because I designed our powered multi with tantalum capacitors. Tantalums are tantalizing. They give you a lot of capacitance in a very small space. I thought that I would just drop a couple tantalum footprints and I'd install tantalum caps, and then one of these tantalum capacitor kits where I don't have to interact with the price would go on easy and not blow up. And it turns out they say they're 35 volts. They were not 35 volts. They popped on us. They didn't really like explode. I would have appreciated that a little bit more, but there's a bit of current limiting that's going on the power supply that I built over here. So they just kind of gave up the ghost and started to smell. The next time you're looking to buy parts, ask about prepaying duties and tariffs. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Trying to find the vid. Oh, ad break. We got ad break. I'm going to give it a second for ad break here. We got 3 minutes until we come back. Thing with the modern U.S. international buying world, I like companies a lot more when they let me prepay the duties and tariffs. So that way the price I see is the price I'm paying. Yeah, and you know, listing it as a tariff is great. In my opinion, though, what the Royal Mail is doing is perfect. I think that's great. They pay the tariff, and they're probably going to get it back. Because it's all so deeply, deeply stupid. Man, this thing has a lot of knobs. I'm going to have to order knobs from Alibaba. That means I'm probably going to have to pay a lot of tariffs on them, too. I like my particular style of knob. I don't know why Julian hates them so much. He was really complaining about that. We'll just give it a minute. I want to let the ads play out so it's not obnoxious for the people who don't subscribe. Why would you cater to those animals that don't subscribe? They're subhuman. I miss the old Twitch where we weren't subject to the same rot as all of the other internet apparently defaults to. Water rolling downhill where everything becomes advertiser content friendly. We still can, but we used to be able to curse a lot more. There were channels that were posting just furry porn in the chat. It was the Wild West. It was great. They had to stop. They don't do that anymore. It was a movie reviewer that I like, who happens to also be a furry. Doesn't lean into it for his content, but he's very good at reviewing stuff. What, I like a stutter? Why am I stuttering? I don't know. That's new. All right, I think we're pretty good on all these. I'm just looking at the solder on them and seeing whether or not I want to drown any more of these connectors in solder to make them look a little bit shinier. But I think we're good. So that's everything. I've soldered it all. I should order more from Mouser instead of AliExpress and Amazon. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of Amazon ordering, but going from like Mouser and DigiKey, going from like your Amazons and stuff like that is, you don't have to like dive so far into all the properties of the parts, right? You can just get something and it's the right thing and it's a common thing, and you know, people, it was nice for a little while, right? But yeah, going to the big suppliers and really vetting out your components and getting them that way, I guess, is something to be said for. We're back. We're back from ads. That's for raids, but I just hooked it up to the ad break timer. The ad break timer gives me 8 seconds at the end of ads where I wait to say anything relevant so that people don't come back from the ad and I'm in the middle of a word. So we were just complaining about tariffs and stuff like that and where to order things. So we've got all of our components in, right? I've already shown on stream how I do the front panels. I basically take vinyl coating and I coat it, and then I use knives to cut everything out, do a little chamfer on the edges. I'm actually going to need to use like a ruler to cut the entire top because the vinyl gets pushed by the screw that holds it together. This is 3D printed. This is PETG. It's the plastic that I use because I do a lot of engineering stuff here. So I need like really solid, it's QVC, really, man, or micro worked. Anyway, yeah, these are 3D printed. I designed these in Fusion 360 and then I 3D print them. And it means that I don't have to buy front panels, and my synthesizer has kind of a fascinating look to it. But I don't have labels for this right now, so we're gonna test this just without the front panel on, and I'll pull up a reference for the front panel, and I'm gonna see what this thing does, if it works, if I maybe did something wrong on it, I don't know. If I were building this just for myself. I advocate doing things properly. The way you would properly do this for yourself, especially if it's a circuit of your own design, is not by populating everything immediately. Look at how crooked those are. It doesn't matter though, because they've been indexed on the actual, on the panel. So there's no point in my correcting the crooked ones, even though I really want to. I advocate building things bit by bit. And if I were doing this in any more capacity, I would do that. I would show you guys that. I, as a streamer, want to have things explode. So I'm not building it section by section. But with stuff like this, especially when you're powering something that you've built all the way through the first time, going section by section is really useful. But again, I'm a streamer and I kind of want things to blow up. So why is that? It just doesn't look soldered. That doesn't look soldered. Hold on. Got to do that. Noticed it on the microscope, doing a little inspection from the side. The other way to do it, if you've got all your parts populated and it's the first time you're ever powering on a device, is to current limit your power supply. You need a power supply that does current limiting, and you limit the current. It's literally just what's on the tin. Limit the current to very low amounts and slowly move the voltage up to your intended voltage. And you look at the current draw of your device and make sure that it doesn't run away. So you don't have any shorts or anything that are in the way of things powering up. And so oftentimes you'll find components that aren't quite soldered, or you put something in backwards through those methods of slow powering. These are the TLO64s, which I hear are a little bit more noisy, but since this is an 8-bit filter simulator, or rather a digital filter simulator, I think it could benefit from noise. So I current limited my PSU, but the MCU ground and VCC were reversed, so it blew up anyway. You should have been able to find it by doing that. Wait a minute. No. You should have been able to see that. You know, runaway current. I guess it overcame something and blew it up. That's sad. Especially if you're building something like a mutable instrument circuit with having to put like a down payment on a microcontroller. Those STM32s, man. Okay. Why isn't this working? Hold on, let me give it more current. Yeah, okay, yeah. I can see that now. Okay, so this is my, wait. This is my module, testing module. Eventually, this is going to be a wire wrap circuit. I've got all the stuff for it over there. It's a wire wrap circuit with a VFD display. So it's going to use a lot of 5 volts, but that's fine because I got a lot of 5 volts over here to give. But yeah, so eventually that's going to be a thing that'll be able to calibrate itself and do all these complicated things like helping me tune the module. Of course, Julian then turns around and he tells me, Julian's my buddy who does Zelikovich is his like name. He does music production and has been trying to get me to build a synthesizer for literally 20 years. But what I would typically do, what he did is turned around and told me, you know, some people believe that it's like guitar playing in the Wild West where you just leave your instrument out of tune, and if it sounds good for you, then it does what it does. And I'm like, shut up. I have to make sure that my notes are notes. Oops. Change scenes. What are you guys doing over there? You're supposed to be over here. Okay. I clicked the mouse by accident. All right, so nonlinear circuits, digital filter simulator. First power, we're just going to power it straight up and just see if it explodes. So this has red marked at the bottom there. One of the shrouded connectors did not fit. And then I got 2 diodes here. Those diodes are going to heat up. They always heat up. Oops, I was going to plug it in backwards. They always heat up. Those 2 diodes always heat up. I've been using these Schottky diodes and everything because I've got a bushel of them. I've got too many of them. So building an 8-voice analog synth is very expensive, very hard, and unlikely to be profitable. IMHO. Well, yeah, that's just, yeah, 8 voices is a lot. And making it all analog is a hell of a thing. Have you ever considered the virtues of digital electronics at that scale? All right, so when I turn this on, it is either going to blow up or, you know, we'll see big current spikes on my plus minus 12 volts. 3, 2, 1, go. Pretty good. This is turning on. We're not taking a ton of current. Our Schottky barrier diodes are not heating up a lot. Is the LED? The LED is probably permanently going to be red, isn't it? All right, so, oh, that's gone green. Red, red light, green light, red light. Okay, no ICs are heating up. Pretty good. I'm using every tool to my advantage. I know typically one would not have a thermal imager, but OctoJ, my original moderator, got so angry with me burning my finger by poking all of the ICs, because I still, you know, poking all the ICs is a good way to figure out if you've got a thermal event happening on your circuit board. He hated that, and so we put together this thermal webcam that I can now use to have a thermal imager tell me whether or not my chips are in a thermal runaway event. But I still poke them. And he gets pissed off at me for that. Anyway, let's get like a signal into this thing, huh? We got the oscilloscope. What's up, Echidna? Oh, there's no, a cheetah. A cheetah. Echidna. Okay, oscilloscope. Plug for the oscope. Sine wave. Sine wave? Sine wave. I gotta touch it. I have to touch it to get a sine wave? Or is it just that slow going by? It's just that, yeah, we were too quick. Okay, sine wave. No sine wave. Is that okay? This thing is getting, it's showing its age a little bit. Okay, sine wave. What are we doing? We just built a modular synthesizer module, got the last little bits in as parts came in, and so now we have this nonlinear circuits digital filter simulator. What does it do? I don't know. I actually don't. I don't know. We built the whole thing. I bought parts for it. I put it all together. I have about 4 or 5 of these filters that I've put together, and you know, it does something. Sure, I'm sure it does. But we need to make sure that it works, and so I need to learn what it does. Let's take a look at the front panel. So there's a range control voltage. There's a clock. I don't know if that's just general clock, but in 1, in 2, out 1, and out 2. How does that work? How does a digital filter simulator work? Well, so when you over here, and then you just flip-flop, and then it's out. So that's how it works. No, I believe what it's doing is it's hold on. I need this one, my joke overlays, to be much easier to get to. So when you have a certain coefficient of the, no, okay. Audio comes in, I believe. Audio comes in, I have that belief. Clock frequency. And you have these what are called flip-flops, and they're 4-bit flip-flops, and I guess what they do is they carry a bit over, and you control the clock, I guess, with a CV. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it'll sample the voltage level in 4 bits and carry it over. Don't Australians call those thongs? Yes, yes. Yes, yes, indeed. Yeah, it's a 4-bit thong. So basically what we're doing is, instead of like going analog to digital and then digital to analog, we're doing some kind of other shenanigans with voltage levels, but we are carrying those values over with flip-flops, I think. That's as much as I can kind of conjure here. Let's just see what they say. This module is based on ideas presented in a 1969 IEEE paper titled Hybrid Implementation for Sampled Data Controllers. The paper presents the canonical form of a generalized digital filter made using analog elements. This is an analog circuit, all CMOS and op amps. I played around with various versions for a few years and as usual settled on the simplest and cheapest. Incoming audio signals, or CV if you want to use it as a pattern generator, are fed to a 4-bit analog to digital stage. So analog to digital, we're turning an analog voltage level into ones and zeros. And so those ones and zeros describe a position of a voltage level. These 4 bits then go through a 4-stage delay. So the shift register, I call them flip-flops, but this is actually a shift register. Okay, so we got a shift register, and as we put a clock signal into the shift register, it shifts it. It moves it to the next position. And eventually you'll get the output in 4 bits with the delay of how many clock signals you've sent into the shift register. Circuit's controlled by a clock input that ticks over the shift registers, CV controlling the VCO, that's the voltage controlled oscillator that supplies the clock signal, will in turn control the filter. The range pot needs to be set to a suitable level. I like it when the peak LED is flickering. Range can also be controlled by control voltage, which will allow you to shift from a 1-bit signal to a 4-bit or overdrive the crap out of it and lock everything up. It's interesting to supply clock signals that are multiples or divisions of the audio signal, but like all NLC modules, feel free to do whatever you like, as mentioned, supplied with gate and CV. Okay, so now we know a little bit more about. I did not want to highlight that yellow. Firefox, what are you doing? Okay, whatever. Pots go on the other side of the PCB, the pot symbol screen printed. Okay, yeah. So we got all this stuff together. Let's just see if we can actually get it to do stuff. What is it gonna do to my sine wave? I would love for it to be able to just have that sine wave there. We could use the powered mult. I'd have to get another power cable, but I could split the signal and then we can have our observation as well as our output. So let me actually get another power cable so that we can power up the mult that we just built and we can have a multi-tap of our signals without degradation. How cool is that? So it's an analog circuit to simulate digital filters. Yep, that's the cool part. That's why it's so cool. Okay, power cable, and then that goes to our new multi, and our stripe is here. Stripe goes there. Okay, so now our multi's working, not giving it any signals. But now what I can do is I can plug one of the outputs to the oscope, and we can take, this isn't like really official or mounted yet, but I will have enough of these that I will be able to do this in the future, I guess. There, that kind of sticks it on. Okay. I don't have all the plugs in there. Where did my cables go? Okay, there. So yeah, let's take a sine wave. Put it into the mult. I don't even have the LEDs cut out yet on this thing. So now every single output on this thing is outputting that pretty strong sine wave. And then we can take that sine wave and we can put it into one of the inputs here. And then question mark, exclamation point. Let me get one of my other cables here. Where's blue? There's blue. Sorry, just going into the drawers right next to us. I don't have my synthesizer put together. My modular setup isn't put together right now for building these filters. I probably should have it because then I'd have all of the signals that I need in order to test these things, but I will have to test this with real audio at some point. I just don't know how. What the heck? What's going on there? All right, so Sine wave in, madness out. These are just the same thing, yeah. Why does that have such an offset? Or is that something that we did? Channel 2. Channel 2 is at 3 volts. Okay, channel 2 is weird. You guys are seeing exactly the same thing that I'm seeing on the readout here. Oh, it is offset. It's got like a weird offset. Well, let's up the voltage though. Oh, wait, actually, that is showing us the same. Why is it offset? Okay, so that should be at like, yeah, 1015. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. Strange. Okay, so now plug in the output. Why is it? Why are you like this? All right. Range. Whoa. Here's a little bit more range. So that must have been it failing. Yeah, it blows up right there. Whoa! So that's going to sound weird. What do all these controls do? None of these are labeled. They're not labeled feedback and then output. So, I mean, it looks like it's working, but I don't know exactly what I should be seeing. Turn all the outputs down to nothing. All the outputs are down. Turn feedback down. And like stuff is happening, but I don't really know what. Take the top feedback knob. I don't know if this is correct. And that offset I find to be a little bit disturbing. Turn all the feedbacks up. Well, it looks like it did something. Because, yeah, that's up, and then there it peaks over. All right, turn the range up a little bit. It looks like we got like a weird offset going on here in our outputs. All right, output. Oh, I see. Okay, wait. No. That's good. That was the first output knob. Second output knob. Third output knob. Fourth. I don't know if the TL064s are being a little noisy, if maybe that's what's going on. But I don't really think those are pretty interchangeable, the TL074 and the 64. That's weird. So let's see if we can take a look at Digital Filter Simulator and see if our results look like what anybody else is seeing. See if there's like a video, maybe somebody will go over it a little bit. I don't know nothing about this stuff, you know? Hi. Okay, that's a start. So if they're doing like a control voltage, I don't think they're putting this on an oscilloscope, are they? No. Okay. Oh, that looks more like it. Yes. Hello? I don't get any audio. Wait a minute. I think Julian has one of those. Okay, where's your scope? I swear, I saw an oscilloscope in the thumbnail. I am being duped. Oh no, it's not an oscilloscope. I've duped myself. There we go. Do it. Show me a sine wave. Analog circuit designed to simulate a digital filter Starts slowly jump the second half. I think this is actually just somebody's circuit that they built. Okay, so that seems to be doing like a lot more for the waveform that's going through it. Oh, it's always does. Oh, so it is. It is. Okay, it is that. Same clock source audio as the triangle wave from VCO. So if we had a triangle wave going into this, what would we be reasonably be expecting on the output if this everything works? That's kind of what we're looking at. A little bit. It's close. So maybe we do have the right thing. Sanity check, delay, offset, interchangeable. Yeah, I suppose. It seems like it like runs away really easily and just maxes out the voltage for some reason. But the sample rate, I guess, is getting, it's chopping it a little bit. I'm not seeing a lot of control on these things. I'm sure there's like a good zone for this, but I am just kind of like twiddling the knobs right now. That looks like a different layout for it. Yeah, it's like the first knob is doing the most. That flips it on its axis. If it's down there, this one bring in the low. I think maybe my waveform is like at the limit. I'm definitely not seeing the same type of output that they're seeing. What if I route one of my control voltages into this? So if I take my slow triangle and I put that into here, it's just going to take us through the range of the knobs, I believe. And there we go, and there it breaks. Why does it break so easily? Stabilize it with some of the other settings. I'm gonna have to set up like a simple synthesizer setup to test this thing. Because it's like if I didn't get the controller pins soldered properly, I wonder what might happen. All these offsets I find kind of a little disturbing. Turn all of the output things to nothing. Turn all of these to full. What happens then? Okay, so this one in the upper left really kind of influences where our waveform is on the number line, if it's positive or negative. But then it's already offset from 0. That almost had it back. And what if we give it a control voltage instead of a sine wave? So if I give it the slow triangle, what'll it do? Nothing. It just goes crazy. It just goes positive or negative only. Well, that's one thing, is I don't know how I'll know if the thing is working right. There's no good indicator. Did you set an offset on the scope yesterday when testing the multi? That was a reference signal, which is treated a little bit differently from the channels of the O-scope. You can see that little 2 flag right there says that my second channel is on 0. So yeah, the O-scope tries to tell you everything that's going on. Very, very weird behavior from this, and I'm wondering if it's possible that something is not soldered correctly. But then again, we're kind of supposed to get weird behavior. So in lieu of not being able to test this at all, I'm probably just going to have to put my synthesizer back together in a very basic sort of setup. So that's one thing we built, and now everything is on hold again. Why? Well, it's not knobs. You know, you control all these signals with knobs. So this is your typical, this right here is a knob. Wait, why are you on that? No, that's the wrong. No, that, wait, hold on. Come on. Hey. Oops, I didn't go back to the right one. That's a knob. No, wait, no. That's the wrong camera. This is a knob. This is a knob. No, that's okay. Where is it? There it is. Yeah. These are alpha knockoff knobs, and now I've got all of the knobs. It turns out I should have ordered plugs. This looks like an extremely busy container full of all kinds of wonderful, wonderful surprises, but the only surprise it has for you is that there's only one ThonkyCon connector in here. Piss. So I gotta wait for thonk.co.uk. We can do the 570 Galore. Let's put Galore back together, the Galorndon core. The 570 Galore is a way to, like, I guess, overdrive a lot of stuff. But I think this works. I think it works. Maybe. I'll have to figure out how I'm going to put it through a better test. Maybe learn how it works a little bit. But we've got only one part that needs to go onto this, and it is a... Oh, never mind. No, we got to do the 570 Galore another time. Every single chip is missing. None of these are on there. I have to solder a bunch of chips to this, so that's probably going to be the one that I do next. I think 570 Galore, I think it was 100K, so that would actually go together. Let me just double check that for my own sake. For your sake, I guess we're going to come back on Tuesday. That's going to be the next stream. Dynamic processor. This one should be really cool. So you can, like, drive and overdrive different signals into it, and it uses a component that's called... Where is that? It reminds me of Venture Brothers. It is a... Oh, wait, hold on. NE 570 DRG. The 570 DRG Compandor. Compandor, my Companda, the companion panda. I don't know. Compandor is such a weird thing. What does that even mean? Low cost dual gain control circuit, which either channel may be used as a dynamic range compressor or expandor. So yeah, a compressor expander, compander. It just sounds like, this is my compander. Stupid words. Why do we use them? Okay, yeah, so here's the next card. I'm closing up shop. I'm gonna continue to solder stuff, but it's really boring and I'm not gonna subject you guys to it. I gotta go walk my dog, my wonderful corgi. Not the Finnish Spitz, the corgi. Finnish Spitz is my brother's dog. It sounds Spanish. Compandor, and then you get a flamenco guitar. Da-da-da-da-dun-dun-dun. Let me watch! I'm sorry, Unethical Clown. I do appreciate your enthusiasm for watching all of the banal soldering that's going on and how fascinating it is to actually, like, solder together circuits. But I try not to overstay my welcome on Twitch, which is a bad thing because I could probably get way more viewers if I do big marathons. But I need to go do life, you know, it gets in the way. I think in the near future, I'm going to try to do some, like, big marathons and, like, you know, like the other Thursday where I started early and I went through the whole day, just because I had a lot of stuff to do. We got a lot of stuff to do now, but I don't have the connectors that I need to continue on. So we're gonna put a pause on that until I get stuff. And, you know, I'll finish some stuff on my own, and we'll be able to put together the synthesizer. I want to have another day where I play the synthesizer, and every time there's an ad break, I have to turn it off and unplug everything and then start over again because I don't know what I'm doing. And the more I do stuff like that, the more inane stuff I'm going to figure out. So, yeah, one of the ones that I've been meaning to get back to is this one. This is one of them. The 4046 VCO still doesn't work. And then I've got a I've got what's called a Bic and Tick filter, Bic and Tick, and that switches between capacitors on your circuit to do weird stuff. I've been fascinated with that one. That one was a different rack standard, and I broke it on the table and overlaid the 2 circuit boards. I still need to get those fixed wires to work properly. So that's something that I would like to be able to get to, because the Bic and Tick filter is probably really cool sounding, but it's been an abandoned project for a while. We have filters to build. I have a synthesizer to fully put together, and then Bob's your uncle, I guess. I don't know your family. So the next thing, have I done that yet? I don't think I did. Yeah, let me do the next thing so I can pull that up here. I have pretty much abandoned all social media. I used to have Twitter. I don't do Twitter anymore. I used to have Blue Sky, but that got hacked. So I have given up. Largely the social media that I'm on is Discord, which I don't really even consider to be social media. It's just chatting. Yeah, it sucks that Discord is taking over forum stuff, and in order to get tech help, you have to go to a Discord. That's madness. But more and more that's becoming a reality, where I can't find out how to fix something because somebody fixed it and talked about it on Discord. But I don't use Discord like that. I use it as a chat application. And if you want to join me there, the link is here. Thanks for another entertaining stream. I'm glad that I am remaining to be entertaining, because this stuff, while I'm good at soldering, it's like also being an interesting character on top of that is very important to me, and that we can all kind of share the experience together. You guys have a lot of really good insights. I will be back on Tuesday, and on Tuesday we will work on, who knows, maybe something relevant to synthesizers, or I'll pull something out that's, you know, something we've worked on that we need to kind of get further into. And I will catch you then. Thank you so much for the new viewers. Thank you for the subscribers. Thank you for nobody rated. So screw you, every other channel on Twitch. You guys are terrible and nobody rated me. Let's just see who's around. Let's see who's around on Twitch. I got beef with all of them. All the people that didn't raid me today. I've got beef. Joel, Vine Sauce Joel, is doing Mario Golf. Rob Oz has somehow managed to actually not go online today, which is weird. What happened? Maybe he's like hurt. That man goes streams 24/7, it seems. Sir Lar has a new channel. It's Sir Lar _Media Tech, TEK. And I love the MediaTek streams from Lawrence. It's the same thing with Forgotten VCR. It's just a bunch of like old, weird, forgotten footage. And I'm fascinated by those channels. I really like that stuff. Pendleton Ward, as in the Pendleton Ward of Adventure Time, is actually working on a 3D platformer game. That's kind of cool. Other than that, I don't really have anywhere that I want to like route you guys. We're not going to do a raid, I guess. I am now one of those people that I have beef with that didn't raid my own channel. And we're just gonna move on. We're all gonna move on and forget that any of this ever happened.